right?
Yeah. Is anything updated yet?
This one just went in.
Yeah. Once irrelevant anyway.
It's just okay. So those are in. Those are in.
Live from the Puritan High School television studio, Rosemont, Pennsylvania, this is the Ram Report. Emily Wright and Michael D'Antonio.
All right, welcome in to Heriton TV's coverage of the midterm elections. Let's start out talking. We got a whole lot of states with senators, governors, and all of the seats up in the House. Let's start with what needs to happen for each party in order to take control. So, we are looking at states like Florida, Tennessee, Arizona, Nevada, Montana, North Dakota, Indiana, Missouri, Ohio. We're looking at all sorts of key states that Democrats will need to win or Republicans need to keep. Currently, CNN has rated North Dakota. Kevin Cramer is ahead of Heitkamp. We're really looking right now at Florida, which is a key race, 95% in. Scott is currently leading Nelson, but only by a slim majority. Even from what we've heard, the president is looking extremely closely at both the Florida Senate race and the governor race. If we go on over to the governor race there, DeSantis is currently leading Gillum, only by about 80,000 votes. Now, we did start a little late, so several states have already been called. If you give us 1 second, we can pull those up. Oh, the iPad's live. All right. As you can see, there are a whole bunch of states that have already been called. We're looking at Ohio, Virginia, Maryland, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Delaware,
Maryland.
Vermont. All those states have already been called for Democrats in the Senate. Nothing more yet. According to a source, Trump is already mad at Paul Ryan about everything, which is not surprising because the Democrats are poised to take the House, according to a whole lot of polls, which have been wrong before. It is completely possible that Republicans could keep the House. It is looking very likely that they will keep the Senate. So we will have more updates as it comes in.
Sal, so let's take a look at the Florida race again, if we can pull that up.
Yep, let's get that up really quickly.
On the, which one are we looking at? The Senate, I think?
Yeah, let's take a look at the Senate really quickly.
Yeah. So that's Scott and Nelson. So what do you think both sides, both of the parties have to do to win? Let's start with the Republican side with Scott. What do you think he has to do to win?
Well, he's already winning, and if we're looking at districts that are currently reporting in, most of the rural areas have already reported in. Most areas have reported in. We are waiting on 5%. And Scott is currently in the lead with, what is that, 80,000? Check my math.
Yeah, roughly 80,000.
Right, roughly 80,000 votes. We are looking at Broward County, only has 51% of the votes in, and that is most likely going to go to Nelson. Broward County is, of course, the location of Stoneman Douglas, where the shooting took place, and we are expecting major turnout from the 18 to, I believe it's 29 voting range,
I think so.
as they were a major force in getting people to register to vote. We're looking at other areas as well, with not all of it in, where Nelson could probably pick up a couple of votes here and there. This is going to come down to the line. This is going to come down to every vote matters here, and they're still coming in, so we're just going to have to wait and see. And the same thing goes for governor. I mean, we're looking at a map that is so contested, so split, that there's no way that we're not going to look at every county and figure out, who's winning each one, because there's just going to be so many votes that have to be counted down to the line. Again, Florida is always battleground state.
Yeah. So do you think it's possible that both the governor race and the Senate race will fall in the same way, or do you think they'll fall into two different patterns?
I think it's very likely that they will fall same party, just because if you're voting one way, you do tend to vote fully in that party. That is very likely. I have no idea if it could go one way, could go the other. But I do think that if one wins, it will give us a sign that the other will win again. But again, 95% of the vote in, and it could still go either way.
All right, let's go back to the overall map and see if anything has changed.
All right, thank you. Our producer Sam is telling us that we can pull up more links on our iPad to show you guys. We will have that for the next update when we go live next. After this one, we'll take a break as more results continue to come in. We are looking at, you wanted to look at the Senate map again?
Yeah, let's just take a look, see if anything is updated on here, actually.
All right. All right. Senate map's on screen now. We are looking at no more races have been called.
Yeah, nothing yet.
I mean, you're really going to be looking, you really want to look at, once again, Florida. You're looking at Texas. You're looking at, I'm marking these in light pink, red-ish. Arizona, Nevada, North Dakota. We need Indiana, Missouri, Tennessee. We're looking at the special election in Mississippi, which could not even be decided tonight, because it's a battle royale between 4 candidates, and they do need the majority to win, over 50%. So if neither of them get that,
none of the candidates get it all 40, not all 40, the 50% majority,
then they'll go into runoff, I believe, in December. So, yeah. We need to turn our text off. Anyway, so those are the kind of the states that we're looking at for battleground states. Okay, our producer's going to turn off text for you guys.
We thank you for the text, but
yeah,
kind
please
of interrupting
stop
the
texting
show.
us.
We love the sport, though.
Yeah.
What's this? I think that looks like Nebraska.
Nebraska
Just started.
just started again.
Is that
96% in for Florida now.
Oof. Still just as close.
Still, yeah, it's going to come down to
60,000 votes.
It's going to come down to essentially this election. We're already looking at record numbers across the country.
Did we get Delaware yet?
I believe we did.
All right.
We can check that on the map once we get it back. Across the country, we're seeing high record number turnout for this election, higher numbers than we've seen ever. We're looking at almost presidential election numbers in terms of, I saw something earlier today in terms of early voting. In some places, Texas was up 663% or something like that for early voting. And if that's any indication of, the people that voted today, like, that's major.
Yeah.
So it's not a question of which way people are voting. It's a question of who's voting in this election.
Yeah, and I remember you showed me that ad earlier. Is it very much an age differential as to who votes for who, or is it something else as the factor?
We cannot show that.
No, let's not show that ad.
So it is very much about. There is an age differential, as we were talking about this ad earlier. The older generations tend to turn out more than the millennials. However, I've seen a lot of things today that say otherwise.
It's definitely been changing in this past few elections.
Yeah.
Especially in this one.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see how much of a difference that makes in this election across the country. Our producer's getting the exit polls ready that we conducted today at Harriton High School. So we're getting
Yeah.
those ready.
Let's see if anything has changed in the other elections.
Let's take a look at this really
Yeah,
quickly.
anything is updated.
Um,
Oh, that was the 27th congressional district. That's the one.
Florida's 27th congressional district, for the first time in 3 decades, will be represented by a Democrat,
Yeah.
which is good sign for the Democrats
Bad
to
news for
take the House.
Republicans.
Let's see.
Anything new?
Oh, we got 3 more
Projections. All right.
projections in governor races.
So it's going to be Republican Bill Lee will win his race for Tennessee governor. Arkansas's governor, oh Lord, Asa Hutchinson will win re-election, and Democratic Governor Gina Raimondo wins re-election in Rhode Island. So, would you say those are particularly key states for any of the parties involved?
Rhode Island, Arkansas,
Tennessee.
Tennessee, I mean, it is not expected to flip Democrat in any way, shape, or form, but it is certainly one of the states that could, but it is not likely to.
So it's semi-important on the Democrats' list of states they need to.
Yes, it is
need
one
to
of
get.
many key states that they would like to win tonight for the Senate.
Oh, 3 new updates.
All right, we're actually going to talk about the exit poll conducted with the Harriton banner.
Let's take a look at that
So
now.
we're going to take a look at that right now. We had about 78 responses, it looks like. So this is extremely interesting. Do you usually vote straight ticket in all elections? Okay.
we're
Our
being-
producer would like to talk about that, so
Yeah,
we're going to hold off on that, I guess.
Melania Trump is watching the election races.
As I read earlier today, the entirety of the Trump family will be watching the election results together in the White House. All right, I'm going to move out so that our
All right.
producer can come in to talk about the Banner HGS TV exit poll. So I'll see you guys in a bit.
Yep.
All right, our sound should be up and working now.
All right.
Max, in just a second, I'm going to have you go over to these polls, but I'm trying to pull them up in photos so that I can draw all over them. So, Max, can you head over to the...
You just
my Photos app just quit. All right. There we go. So, what's really interesting about... So, we sat outside... Is it on? That should be working. Good? All right. We are experiencing some technical issues. Eli's going to keep you up to date for a moment.
Okay, let's refresh the page, see if anything new has happened. There. We're good? All right, we're being told we're back online now, so back over to you, Sam.
Yeah, so I and a few members of the Banner sat outside Harriton today, and we conducted exit polls of the voters there. The Banner is Harriton's newspaper, so they are more of a print newspaper. We do more of the TV stuff. So our first question, how old are you? As you can see, we have like a pretty wide range of ages, ranging all the way down from 18 all the way up to 80. Certainly some of the older people were not willing to talk to us, or they were taking the ramp down, and so we didn't catch them at our station. But we had a pretty good range of ages represented, so that was good to see. As typical with Lower Merion, it's predominantly white, so that's something also to note. I think this was probably a good representation of the voters. This exit poll was conducted at the Harriton polling location, which is obviously in Montgomery County in Pennsylvania. So not too many contentious races in Pennsylvania, Eli, as you know.
Yeah, we like to be diverse, but sometimes it's just how the cookie crumbles, and there's not much you can do about it.
Yeah, and this year in particular, Pennsylvania is not having too many contentious races. Nevertheless, interesting things. So here was something interesting, actually. Most of the people that I think it was about an even split. We were keeping track of, and we were there. We tallied it up on our phone. We were there for about 450 people voting today. We missed the morning rush, and we missed the really close to the polls closing rush. But the whole middle of the day we were there. So At about 8:30 p.m. or maybe at about 9:30 p.m. I'm sorry. We're going to drive over to Harriton and get the results because they will be posted outside of Harriton. So we'll see how our poll stacked up compared to the actual results that it recorded. But for now, we can just see way more females were willing to respond to our polls than males. We weren't able to force anyone to respond to our poll, obviously, and some people didn't have time. It was kind of sad. A lot of guys just blew us off, and women were a lot more likely to respond. So thank you, women, for being better than guys today who just kind of walked away. Moving on to the next level, the next question, this was crazy. Over half of LMSD residents who responded to our poll had over a graduate or a graduate's degree of education, and over 80% have had either a bachelor's or graduate degree. So obviously this is a much higher, education level than most of the country. Again, we're really just trying to see how Harriton was voting. We're not trying to make generalizations about the whole country here. That would be really irresponsible of us to do. There was one person that there were a few high schoolers that came, though, so you can see them in the dark blue. They were represented as well. But yeah, there were definitely some young people. Most people in Lower Merion are married, as you can see. A few people never married. That probably represents a lot of the younger crowd. But, you can see the trend there. So the first question we asked in our actual election questions was, are you a regular voter in presidential election? And all but one or two people responded yes.
And those are probably the high schoolers who didn't get to vote.
Yeah, although we told them to respond yes if they plan to vote a lot in the future, just to prevent the data from being skewed. So, that's pretty clear. A lot of people vote in presidential elections. You would think if they're voting in midterms, they're probably voting in presidentials too.
Usually.
The next question was a little bit more interesting. Are you a regular voter in midterm elections? About a little more than 75% saying yes, but what's more important is that a lot were saying no, and they were here today. That today is a midterm election. Is our graphics showing up still? Okay. So
cool.
That was interesting. That we're definitely in Gladwin, at least from the people that responded to our poll, a higher percentage of people than normal that vote in midterm elections.
I guess some people just don't care about midterm elections that much.
We asked if people answered no to the last question, why, and a lot of people gave answers. Change in congressman, horrible president, turned 18 recently, so obviously that's not accurate. Things have to change. The last 2 years have been a disaster. General direction of government policy, change the Senate to Democratic. Everything sucks.
I love this answer. It's just one word. It's issues.
Issues, yeah. I mean,
it's a phenomenal answer.
It's my civic duty if I want to complain about Trump. I would agree with that. If you have complaints and you're not voting, then you really shouldn't be complaining at all, because voting is the easiest way to
if
get
you're
involved.
Going to complain, at least go vote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, moving on to the next question. What issues do you care most about? We had 65 responses to this question. It was not a required question, so I'm not going to show all of them. These are just a few of them. 4 people said healthcare, or 6 people said healthcare spelled 2 different ways. All issues. Gun control, the economy, Trump's cruelty in all caps.
What an answer.
Abortion, immigration. They're connected apparently. Helping the less fortunate. All right.
Good
Checks
answer.
and balances of the current administration. Good answer. Mm-hmm. Economy. Healthcare, support for Israel. We live in Lower Merion. That's definitely a hot button issue to a lot of voters around here.
I think our school has like 50% of Jewish descendants.
Yeah, or even if it's not, a very, so that's an important issue to people around here.
It's a high number. I know that.
And that's something that you definitely wouldn't see all over the country. So that's interesting to see here.
Good for you. Whoever answered that, good for you.
And here's where it starts to get interesting, right? Because on this question, which political party do you generally identify with? You see that the vast majority of people generally identify as Democratic. But I think what's more important is these 2 slivers right over here, the red and the orange, which are Republican and Independent. One person put in Constitutionalist. They wanted to be special.
Is that a thing?
So,
I don't.
Yes, it is. It is a party.
I didn't know that was a thing. Good for you.
That was interesting too. So obviously we know that this is a Democratic area, but I think what gets more interesting is when you see the questions following this, right? Yeah. So keep in mind we've got about 60 to 70% of people identifying as Democrat typically. Now look at the results for governor, right? An overwhelming, 90% of people voting for Tom Wolf, the Democrat incumbent for governor in Pennsylvania. And with this, I know this is just one precinct, right? But it should come as no mystery to people that that we have Tom Wolf winning the governor position over Wagner, and let's see how much. Only 8% are in, but it's already 68 to 30.
He already
percent
has like
from
a 130,000
130,000 point lead. Yeah, so that's
Although it still only is 8%, so anything could happen.
anything could happen.
But
that's true.
judging by these numbers and by the poll, I think it's clear that Tom Wolf is going to win
Yeah,
this
so
one.
so even though that it's interesting because we have a higher percentage of people, a lower percentage, I'm sorry, of people identifying as Democrat than we do as voting for the Democratic candidate, and that outweighs just the independent number. So we know it's not just independents voting for the Democratic governor. We know it's Republicans too. So Tom Wolf is certainly popular. Moving on to lieutenant governor, the colors are switched here, but red is the Democrat. And John Fetterman, again, sweeping the vote. Very similar results to governor, not quite as strong. We have a new projection. This just in. Eli, you want to read that?
All right, yeah. So 4 Democratic senators will win re-election, CNN projects.
Max, are you showing us, not the screen? Yes.
All right. So Senator Amy Klobuchar in Minnesota, Senator Martin Heinrich in New Mexico, Senator Bob Casey in our own state of Pennsylvania, and Senator Kirsten Gillibrand in New York.
Kirsten Gillibrand. So none of those are really major races. I think a lot of people were calling these way before the election, but now we've got some of the big news people calling those races. So that's interesting to see. Max, if you can bring it back to the iPad. Thank you. Yeah, so as you can see, Lieutenant Governor is closely following, although you actually have someone voting for the Green Party candidate. That's interesting. I can't imagine too many people are voting for these third-party candidates. We'll show you a little more libertarian representation later. Moving on to the Senate, definitely fewer Democrats. But if we go back 2 photos to the overall split, you can see, again, way more people voting for the incumbent, Bob Casey, than people that typically identify with the Democratic Party or independent. So you're seeing independents and Republicans shifting over to the Democratic Party in this election for the Senate race too. In the House was where it got a little fishy, right? That's where, again, we're still seeing vast majority Democrat, a much greater percentage than typically identify as Democrats. However, this person wrote abstained, don't like Dean. That's funny.
Good answer.
But but it's very interesting that you're seeing this swing of Republicans and independents towards Democrats, at least in our precinct in this election. So our final 2 questions, also very interesting. Did you vote straight ticket today? Over 75% saying yes, just under 25% saying no. But where it really gets interesting, do you usually vote straight ticket? And again, this is self-reported. Over 50% saying no, they do not normally vote straight ticket. And today, a sharp contrast to that with over 75% saying they do vote straight ticket. So that means people, judging by we haven't done a full analysis of variance yet or any full tests, but judging by that, I think we can preliminarily say that people are voting straight ticket more often, and I think those straight ticket votes are going to the Democrats. So people that are splitting their votes, independents, Republicans, are voting for Democrats in the state of Pennsylvania in our precinct. Very interesting results, and it's not something to take lightly. All right, so Max, can we go back to the shot of both of us? And Eli, let's pull up the map and fill that in now that we have some new information.
Yeah.
Oh,
now it's on Chrome.
Yep.
Scroll wherever it is. Chrome. Yeah. Oh, we're getting.
We have breaking news coming in.
From
Nope.
Noah Simonson.
For what? Oh, yes. Okay, so we're just going to come over here to the Senate map and fill in these races. So in Minnesota, we have that's going blue. We got to click through all the colors. That's kind of fun.
Blue. We've got New York.
We've got New York, which is also going blue.
Click through all the colors. We got Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, which is going blue.
And New Mexico is also going
New Mexico,
blue.
that's funny. Interesting.
Odd one to go blue.
Well, I mean, New Mexico in the past, people used to consider it a little more Republican. I think, Arizona and New Mexico especially, they've become a lot less red in recent years. And states are constantly shifting over time. So it'll be interesting. As you can see right up here, in terms of the pink states we haven't put in light blue states yet. Right now, we've got a 51 to 35 in the Democrats. Again, we haven't filled in a lot of the states, so this is really far too early to say, and this isn't quite an accurate representation. Going over to governor, not much has changed. Noah, have any additional governor races been called yet? One new update. Let's see. Republican Andy Barr wins re-election in closely watched Kentucky 6th. All right.
Yeah, that's the House.
That's the House. Yeah, the House is a little much for us to cover, so we're gonna start with the bigger races.
Yeah.
Um,
All right. So
governors.
looking at governor, is anything happening?
Yeah,
here?
this is CNN politics again. Florida's governor and Senate races are leaning Republican again. If you can check, not too much is in yet. There's a lot, still very little reporting. Can you check Florida?
Florida. That's 96%.
Oh no, we've got 96% in.
That's for governor. Let's
for
see
governor,
what the Senate's doing. For
leaning
Florida.
Republican.
We have a question from a viewer.
Yep.
Regarding the House elections, were any of the people surveyed from different districts?
So regarding the House elections, regarding our survey, no, everyone was surveyed from the Harriton voting location, so all of those are in the same precinct. We don't have the resources to do exit polls like all over the district or anything.
We wish we did.
Really, our goal with those, we wanted to get some information, obviously, but even more than that, we want to go back, see what actually happened, because they will be posting the results on the door of Harriton, and we want to see how accurate our poll was compared to the actual thing, because then we will know for the future that we're able to accurately do polls. All right, Eli, you got anything else? Or otherwise, I'm going to give it back to Noah.
Not a whole lot has happened. We're still just waiting on a lot of polling information to come in. So. Yeah.
All right. In that case, we're going to take a quick break. Max, do you know how to? Here, we got to put like all the graphics up. So you have to click all 6 of the whites. Yep, it's a pain. But we'll be right back, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Please ask your questions in the comments, and we'll get to those after the break. But signing off, this is Eli and Sam from Harriton TV. We'll be back in probably a few minutes. Good.
All right, we're back. Second update of tonight. A couple of things have happened since we last were on air. Tennessee, Marsha Blackburn, GOP candidate, withstands challenge from Bredesen to win Tennessee Senate race. Those are one of the ones that the Democrats were hoping to pick up tonight. Now that does not look like that is going to happen. So Tennessee will go red. We are still looking at Florida. Florida is, again, not all the way in, but that is looking like...
It's at 97% in. It's very close. It's still within 50,000 votes. So it's entirely possible that the Democrats could come back and win this. But do we think this is very likely, Noah?
At this point, I don't think so. It doesn't look like there are enough places where the incumbent senator can actually win votes in order to keep his seat, which is definitely a disappointment for the Democrats right now, which is, one of the essential seats that they have to hold on to if they stand any chance. Currently, we have weird news coming out of Texas, but Ted Cruz and Beto O'Rourke are currently essentially tied. Cruz is 1,500 ahead with only 58% reporting, so that could change. That probably will change.
Very
but
close,
that is still extremely close
for the longest
something
time,
that
O'Rourke was leading, and it absolutely baffled us.
Joe Manchin wins re-election in West Virginia.
I wouldn't say it's a super important state for the Democrats, but
it's definitely one where they had to.
It's up there, but
it is up there. I mean, Trump won there by 42 percentage points in 2016.
All right, let's take a look at Florida. What's happening there?
All right, we need to take a look.
Too close to call right now with Rick Scott 41,000 votes in the lead, 90%.
98% reporting, and we're 40,000 votes.
But they haven't called it yet, which means that
there's still a chance, and you need to keep in mind that there's
still a few places where all voters haven't called in yet. So,
and in our next break, we will look up how close it needs to be in order to initiate an automatic.
Oh, look at that! He drew in a percentage point.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, it's now within 0.6%.
O'Rourke is ahead again.
All right.
69% reporting, and he is ahead in Texas.
This is 50% to 48.5%.
Right.
Yeah.
We are at 50 to 48 percent here, and there are a whole lot of places that don't have.
And some of these places
votes
are
in
looking like they're going to be Democrats.
Yeah, a whole lot of southern
southern Texas districts are looking like they're going to land to the Democrats, which could be huge for O'Rourke.
Yep. This is going to continue to be. Moore just went in. O'Rourke is still in the lead.
At least 120,000 votes.
Yeah, that is currently.
That is.
Oh, right. Let's. We can pull it up for the next. All right. Let's go there.
CNN.
Hey, 538 Politics is giving the Senate over a 95% chance of maintaining the Republicans over a 95% chance.
All right, 538, which has been wrong before, but they are saying that they have there is a 95% chance that Republicans will keep control over the Senate. But votes continue to come in. There could be surprises around any corner, but it is looking like currently Republicans will keep control over the Senate.
Democrats still having a 5 and 9 chance, a 53% chance of maintaining control of the House.
Democrats have a 53% chance of gaining control over the House, which will continue to update through the night. Florida's still too close to call. That is going to come down. That is going to be, I think, probably the closest race of the night. Texas should not be this close, and yet it
really
is.
Shouldn't. Cruz should be miles ahead of him.
Yeah, and O'Rourke is currently beating him by
70% in.
70%, and O'Rourke is beating Cruz by 2 percentage points here. Over 100,000 votes.
It's at least 120,000.
Yeah, that is.
That is certainly impressive.
If we actually go, we can pull it up.
Let's see what
on our
New Jersey has
iPad.
gone back. 33% in, and
33% in Menendez
is up by about 20,000 votes.
That is another one that Democrats have to keep control over, and if they want to win. If you want to put up the iPad, if you have it up already, that would be great. So if we look at Florida right now, which is what we've been talking about the whole time, if we can zoom in on that, you were looking at every area in Florida. You know, you got usually your major dense populations usually go Democrat, and then a lot of the surrounding areas will go Republican. You'll notice that there are several places where not everything is in. You're looking at large
Ooh, Maine's,
Democrat strongholds here.
Maine has just started calling in its votes.
Ooh,
And it looks like the incumbent king is currently in the lead.
that's right. One of
but
two
they're only-
independents.
They're only
in the
2%
Senate.
votes in. And what else?
Fair enough.
Wisconsin has started calling in its votes as well.
All right.
The incumbent Baldwin is leading by about 10,000 votes.
13% in for Missouri, another one of the key races, with the Republican Hawley currently up, beating the incumbent Claire McCaskill, but once again, that is only 13% in.
Something just Wyoming. That's what it was. Wyoming.
Wyoming just went in.
Yeah.
I mean, Wyoming is not
Yeah.
expected, but North Dakota has 5% in, and Kramer is already beating Heitkamp. This is just looking like we're going to be up late tonight, guys.
Thank God I'm leaving early.
So we, once again, going back to this map here, we are looking at places that are Democratic strongholds where all the votes are not in. I mean, you're looking at Broward County, which is the location of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, where we are expecting a large 18 to 29 age group to vote there because of the events that happened there in February. So it could still lean either way. 98% in now reporting. He is still down 50,000 votes. So we'll continue to update you as those votes come in. Once again, Tennessee has already been called.
And the Texas race has gotten a little bit closer. Still in favor of O'Rourke. It's now only about 100,000 vote difference instead of about 120 to 130,000
He's still
votes.
2% behind.
Yeah, it's still a massive gap that really just should not be there.
Nope.
Cruz should be winning this race by a mile.
And that's 70% in. That is
Yeah.
70% reported in. If Democrats can manage to win Texas, there is hope for them to win the Senate. They do have to pick up essentially every other seat that they need, but it is still possible.
If the Democrats had Florida and Texas,
They still have to,
they still have to pick up all the other states, but it could be a potential landslide for them.
not a landslide, but they could take,
They could afford to lose some if they got both
Yes.
Texas and Florida.
but that is not going to happen.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
it's
think.
not looking like it's going to happen. They're still 50,000 votes behind.
Yeah,
98% in.
which up until today, that was rated, I believe, likely
It was for the
D.
Democrats, right?
Yeah, likely Democrat. So once again, polling has been wrong. Polling continues to be wrong. Don't trust the polls.
We've learned that lesson today.
Yep. I mean, we learned that lesson in 2016, didn't we?
No, yeah, really.
Yeah, but this is definitely going to
Hashtag
be
we're not
interesting
biased.
races. No, we're not. I promise. Go back to Florida. All right, we're going back to Florida for some reason. 98% in.
Oh, it's gone
80
up a little bit.
I mean, still,
just changed
still,
it.
that is extremely close. That is what,
Oh,
5?
We can now put in that Minnesota.
I believe we already
did we?
have. Didn't we?
Did we? I don't know.
It just reset, didn't it? Yes, it did.
God.
All right, we'll fix that
We'll
in
get
our
back to
next
that.
break, and we will. Oh, did this just reset as well? No, it didn't. Can we go over to governor, see if any of the governor races have been called?
Yep. So, governor.
We already have
Yeah, we
that.
already have that. Hutchinson from Arkansas. We have that.
Yep.
Tennessee. Yeah. Tennessee.
All right. We're going to take a break, 1-minute tour of our little studio here. So be on the lookout for that. We're going to continue to prep as we continue to receive results. So,
Yeah. Tennessee.
Tennessee's
Put that in.
Battleground State.
Hi guys, this is Sam here. We're just going to give a little bit of a tour of our setup, right? So, lighting is very important. So we have a big light here. We've got all of our technology over here. Coming back up in a sec. All of our technology over here, our switcher, soundboard. Right over here we've got our anchors, wave high anchors. Hello. And we're going to be switching them out. They've got all sorts of stats up on their computer. And our iPad can go live to the screen. There's Lindsay over there. We've got some additional election coverage on the screen to help us with our big camera. And a little bit more. Coming over, we've got HGS TV reporter Max Harris coming down the stairs. Max, do you have anything you want to say to the stream before we go back to the coverage?
This cat is disappointed in everyone who did not vote. If you did vote, the cat loves you.
Aw.
This is Navy, by the way.
All right, Navy just gave the camera a kiss. Are we ready to go back, anchors?
Yeah, we are. We've
All
got
right.
news for you.
All right, so we are going to be coming back to the anchors right now. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Let me pull it up on our little map here.
Texas has just gotten closer.
Yep,
Cruz
which is
is-
to be expected.
Yeah, Cruz pulled it back a little. It's now about a 30,000 vote rate, votes.
Yep.
O'Rourke's still in the lead, but it's all possible that Cruz could pull this back completely.
Absolutely. We are now reporting that 98% of the vote is in Florida, and he's still Nelson, the incumbent Democratic senator, is still trailing by
60,000.
60,000. Now that is not good. For the,
It's true. It was about 100,000 earlier.
right. It
For the governor race, I believe it was at 99% voters. It's at
we can't 'cause
99%.
the map messed up. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we're looking at
It looks like a Republican Florida.
yeah.
for
This is
governor.
looking like Republicans came out in Florida to vote.
Yeah, Texas, Abbott won for governor.
All right. Yeah, we already
Yeah,
have we already have that.
Anything new?
Oh, we now have a new update. The House is
It's
still
still leaning
leaning Democratic, but is looking better for Democrats at this hour. They're winning where they need to in the House, which is good news for them. We haven't heard anything from any sources inside the White House about how the president is currently reacting to any of these situations. But we'll continue to update you as results come in. The next polls close 25 minutes. All right. Yeah, I think we should go
Yeah.
on a break until couple more results come in.
Oh, wait.
Oh,
hang on.
hold on.
Hang
Hold on.
Hold up.
Hold up.
It's New Mexico, it looks like.
New Mexico for
Heinrich, the...
wait, is this Senate or
This is Senate, I think. Yeah, this is U.S. Senate.
this is U.S. Senate? All right, so we can now project that New Mexico.
It looks like it's predicted for the incumbent, who is the Democrat,
Yep.
Heinrich.
All right. Wait, no, this is the wrong map. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, God, Noah.
We can't do the Senate map right because it messed itself up. But as you
Oh,
can see
look,
here,
and the Texas race has gotten closer.
oh,
Even more. It's now within
72%.
It's now within 20,000 votes. This is, I
It's
think,
looking-
the first time O'Rourke, the second time actually, that he's dropped under 50% lead. How's Florida looking? Still down by
98%.
still down by 60,000 votes.
We actually just had Mississippi update, and Mississippi special election is one that is looking. You need to remember that this is the one where if none of the candidates win over 50%, it does go into a runoff later this year. But currently, SB is winning the special election, even though it looks like Wicker, the incumbent Republican, is winning the other Senate seat in Mississippi, which is extremely odd to find, but totally plausible. And Nebraska has just swung a little bit, but that is not expected to be within Democrats' reach at all. All right. So I think we're going to take a break now. We'll be back in a bit with more results. We'll continue with our election night coverage. Thank you, guys. All right, we are back, where CNN has just called Indiana to Braun, who has taken the incumbent Donnelly's seat in Indiana. That essentially kills the Democrats' chances of taking the Senate in this race. In order to do so, they are going to have to win essentially every single one of these, including Texas, which has now turned red. But
it's only a 10,000 margin, so
yeah, it is. It is only,
and it's still only 73%. So anything is possible at this point.
Yep, that's right.
And
we're looking
Indiana, Donnelly will be hard pressed to win that back. That's a 200,000.
72%, and I don't think he's going to be able to.
I
take
don't think
it.
it's possible. I don't think there's enough votes left.
Yeah, no. There. I don't think there is enough votes. I don't think there are enough votes left.
538 has changed their forecast to 3 and 5 for Democrats keeping control, 59.6% of the House.
Wait.
538.
538.
59.6% chance Democrats take control of the House.
59.8% chance that Democrats take control over the House. That number is down.
No, it's up.
It's up
It's
from.
up?
It's up from a few minutes ago.
It's up from a few minutes ago. That is down from their original forecast earlier today for their final House and Senate forecast. But then again, that is 538, and in recent years, they have not been known to get it correct. So,
30% chance to happen. Let's talk about Mary Gay Stallion. You know about that race?
right.
Yeah,
So
about
I
this
think it is
already.
interesting to talk about our own state of Pennsylvania here because it's extremely interesting, especially for if we can pull the House up here. And I believe we can.
If it wants to load.
Come on. All right. If we want to talk about Pennsylvania here, home state, whatever. If we can zoom in on it. Hold on. Give us a second.
We have really slow internet. Blame Max Harris.
Oof.
Sorry, Max. Not
All
sorry.
right. So if you want to talk about what's interesting here, Pennsylvania, halfway through kind of when we were starting the midterm elections, the state Supreme Court ruled that the way that the maps were gerrymandered was unconstitutional and under the state constitution, to be clear, and essentially told the Republican-run House, state House and state Senate, I believe, to redraw the map in a fair, nonpartisan way. When they refused to, that is just flipping back and
Yeah.
forth.
That's
When they
changed
refused
history.
to, the state Supreme Court essentially said, "Okay, we'll draw it for you," and so they did. And this is essentially one of the main states where Democrats are looking to make major gains. It's one of the places where they need to win a bunch of seats in order to win the House. And they did end up going with that map because, as I said before, they decided under the state constitution, so the federal government couldn't get involved. But we're looking at a whole bunch of races. So if you live in Narberth, you're looking at Pennsylvania House 4, Dean and David. Okay, that's not.
Yeah,
that's
it's
to be expected.
irrelevant. They call
We
it
will
South
we will
Carolina,
up
too.
we will up. What is that? That's governor.
Yeah.
All right. We'll update our governor map in a second. So if you live in Narberth and a couple of surrounding areas, you're looking at Madeline Dean versus David, and Madeline Dean is expected to win that overwhelmingly. Let's see if we can find the fifth here.
Yeah, that's
There
us.
we go. And Scanlon has already won. CNN has projected against Pearl Kim. That was once again another expected victory for the Democrats, one of the seats that they wanted to take. If you look right there, it does show the little symbol showing that it has changed parties. And that is, once again, because the map was redrawn halfway through kind of the midterm election cycle. So that is extremely interesting to see. So we are just taking a look at all that stuff. Let's pull up any news updates that we have. The House is too close to call. CNN projects. So if we... All right. 538 is disagreeing. However, they're saying, if I can get that number again,
65%.
65%. The Democrats will take the House. Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin wins re-election in Wisconsin.
Hey, we've got 33 Democrats leading in Republican districts in the House.
33 Democrats leading in Republican-held districts,
Like incumbent.
and 7 Republicans leading in Democratic-held districts. So Democrats are vastly outperforming Republicans in the House, but it is looking way more likely that once again, the Senate will Republicans will keep control over the Senate. Let's take a look at the governor race now,
I know
which
we
is
have a
something
few
that
more.
Democrats really want to pick up a bunch of seats here.
Looks like Illinois.
Illinois,
Pritzker.
all right, and it looks like that's one of the ones where they wanted to take out an incumbent, so they managed to do that
By
there.
almost 500,000 votes. That's impressive.
Still too close to call for Florida. So that is still too close to call.
South Carolina has the incumbent one.
Incumbent one.
Oklahoma, either of them they're the incumbent in Oklahoma?
It wasn't an incumbent, but the Republican has one in Oklahoma. Let's check in. Florida people are saying for the governor race, it is kind of their early look at the 2020 race because DeSantis aligned himself very closely, with Trump and said he would work with him with everything, while Gillum has said otherwise, and that is going to be looked at very closely. Currently, DeSantis is leading. That is 99% in, but it is still too close to call. Ohio, another key race here. DeWine is currently leading 71% in. Richard Cordray is down. It appears 200,000 votes. That is not looking good. As we're getting more results in, Senator Bob Menendez wins re-election in New Jersey. So we can now... He's won New Jersey. Now that is someplace where it was looking for a while because of scandals and stuff. That was one that Democrats were pretty sure they were going to hold on to, but Republicans did put up a fight in that state. Let's go back to Texas for a second, because Texas is a really interesting race to watch, right? Texas should not be this close.
Yeah, and it's actually Cruz has gone ahead by about 70,000 votes, leading more than a percentage point, actually.
Yeah. Then again, 25% still not reported.
Yep.
If we look closer at some of these things, it doesn't say how much. It doesn't say how.
A lot of these districts still have no votes counted.
Right. So you have to keep that in mind. And once again, it is like this should not be too close to call at this point. This should be a Cruz win here, but it isn't. And I mean, you have to talk about the individual candidates here. This is not a matter of party. This is a matter of this is a matter of candidates, because O'Rourke is just insanely popular. People have compared him to Kennedy back in the day and all sorts of other really powerful political figures. We now can say that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez will win her general election race easily and become the youngest woman ever in Congress, CNN has projected. She turned 29 last month, so congratulations. So we are... results continue to come in. Let's take a look at the special election here in Mississippi again, where it looks like SB is still up by a large amount, but it is not. It's not close enough that where one of them will have the majority. In other news, Florida voters will pass felon voting rights amendment. Florida voters will approve a measure in the state that restores voting rights to felons not convicted of a murder or a sexual offense after completing their sentences, including parole or probation, CNN reports. Now, if I recall correctly, that was actually a measure put in place by what is looking like the new senator from Florida, Rick Scott, who is the
Oh, we're back to
Great.
50,000. So Nelson is gaining back a little traction, but
all right.
it might
It's
be
still,
too late.
Still too close to call, though. So you hold your best for that one. But this is someplace where it was very hard for convicted felons to vote because of laws passed in that state um, by Scott. So that is good to see for the Democrats.
In a different state, looks like Ohio's incumbent Senator Brown has been
Yep.
projected by CNN to win.
Yep,
Anywhere
yep.
else? Let's see.
Nope. How much of North Dakota is in right now? 11% is in for North Dakota, and Kevin Cramer's leading only by about 7,000 votes, but that is still, once again, only 11% in. If, once again, like, if Democrats lose any of these races, it will be, there's no way for them to win here. 25% in for Missouri. Let's take a look at this one. Jefferson City, it looks like, has gone red. But then again, McCaskill's currently down. She's the incumbent senator. And Democrats need to hold on to the seat. Again, they have to hold on to every single one of these seats. They have to gain seats. Once again, polls have not closed yet in Nevada and Arizona, where Democrats are hoping to make gains in these Senate races. And then if the if the trend continues of Republicans taking Democratic seats, I mean, if Florida goes Republican, and then they already unseated someone in Indiana. If that trend continues, I mean, we are looking at North Dakota will go Republican, Montana could go Republican. So we'll continue to update as we move along, as more states begin to close off and begin to tally up votes. Once again, Democrat not looking good for Democrats. But you never know. There's still a lot of the night to go. Still looking at. We're just gonna check through one last time before we go on a break here.
Minnesota. Take a look at that.
Minnesota, 34% in though, so that's not.
I'm on a different page. I'm on the Senate.
You're on the Senate. I'm on the.
You're on the other one.
Go away. Oh, we got a new update.
Yep. What's this? Billionaire projected to win Illinois' governor race.
All right, governor race for Illinois. Pritzker, Democrat.
Leading by almost 600,000 votes.
Yeah, that's a massive win
Yeah.
right there. Once again, if you look at our total number here, 11 Democrats, 14 Republicans, and a whole lot of states still left to go. Once again, this is one of several places where Democrats really want to make gains because of attorneys general. That is the correct term. Don't question it. And the power of governors. So it's extremely interesting. And if we go to the House, this is once again extremely close. 99 Democrats, 98 Republicans currently called.
Actually, I've got it gone up.
Oh, it's gone. Oh,
103.
103 to 98. Democrats are starting to make gains once again in the House. 15 pickups needed remaining for Democrats to take control over the House, which is once again not by any means sure for them. This is going to be close all night. Same thing with everything else. We will be back soon with more coverage, and we will continue to keep you updated through the night. All right, and we're back. We just had a whole bunch of polls closed. We got a whole bunch of races called. First and foremost, if we flip over the map, you're going to see Kansas. Kelly has won the Kansas governor race. That is massive pickup for the Democrats. Colorado, Polis has won Colorado, which makes him the first openly gay person to run a state in the United States of America. CNN has projected 4 more Democratic pickups in the House. They're getting closer and closer. 112 called Democrats.
Yeah, they need 11 more to completely secure the House. And I think that's their long-term goal.
218.
No, look, 11 more.
11 more
To control,
pickups
to control
if they keep all of the seats
yeah,
that
if they keep all the seats.
if they
that's
keep
true.
all the seats that they're winning right now.
I think that's their long-term goal, actually. Just control the House at this point.
I know. Look, there's no way. I mean, if we
I-
flip over to the Senate map, right?
They need everything to go their way in the Senate.
North Dakota, again, 25% in. Heitkamp is losing by, what is it? That's 11,000.
Utah, they've predicted Romney to win.
All right, Mitt Romney, former presidential candidate. Romney,
And
who
governor of
has been critical of
Massachusetts.
President Trump before. He's already been projected to win. Arizona is 36% in. Martha McSally just barely edging out over Christian Sinema. Once again, this is another one of these seats where Democrats really are hoping to make some gain here.
Montana as well. Tester, the incumbent. He's looking strong, actually. It looks like he
Only
could win.
13%
Only
in, though.
13% in, but I think he could win it, actually.
This is going to be the surprising piece here, right? Because what people have been saying now is this is not the blue wave that the
It's not-
Democrats
yeah,
were
it's-
hoping for,
it's
but
not the blue wave.
is it enough to get them over the House? Is it enough to get them a couple more pickups for the governor's race? It certainly is not looking like it's going to be enough
Yeah.
for the Senate.
Republicans just picked up 3 more House seats. The Democrats only picked up 1.
Okay, they
So-
still they're down at 11 seats to flip
It's still
the House.
still well within reach for the Democrats.
Yep, absolutely.
Senate is slowly looking more and more out of reach.
Yep. If we look at Texas, which we keep coming back to because that is a fun race to look at,
It really is.
O'Rourke is now down. But if we look at where these votes are coming in from, right? We are not getting. Oh, there we go. We got one of them that has 100% in. Okay, so a bunch of them have 100% in. Some are not reporting how much are in for this. But it is looking more and more likely like Cruz is going to hold on to that
Yeah.
seat.
And let's actually take a look at Michigan for a second. The incumbent Stabenow is winning by a mile.
Yeah, and 50% have already. It's about 50% in. This is just going to continue to kind of pile up. I do think at this point that it is going to be nearly impossible for the Democrats to take the Senate. I think that it's probably a lost
Republicans
cause.
just gained more House seats. They gained 4 more House seats, 111 to 113, now still in favor of the Democrats.
What's really going to be interesting, though, I read an article today, several articles, in fact, saying, several dozens of Democrats have said that if they do win back the House, they will not vote in favor of Nancy Pelosi to become the Speaker of the House, which is interesting. So that's kind of going to be interesting thing to
Makes
watch.
you wonder who they would vote as Speaker then.
I have no idea, and I think that's going to be something that is going to play out if they do take back the House, which once again is not anywhere confirmed. They still have a long way to go. This is going to continue to be close the entire night.
Yeah, governor race, Iowa, the challenger to the
No, let me
incumbent.
pull that up.
Yeah.
You said governor.
Iowa. Yeah, there it is. It just updated.
There we go.
Hubel is actually beating the incumbent off.
Nice. That is only 9% in, though.
That
you
is
do have
only
to remember
9%,
that. You do
yeah.
have to remember that.
But if things keep going his way,
Another key race in Ohio. DeWine's currently beating Cordray by 8%, 82% in. This is really close race. It's going to continue to be a close race throughout the night. I do think that is going to end up being too close to call.
Florida still at 99%.
Florida's
with DeSantis.
Florida's just going to be Florida, man.
It's gonna be Florida the entire
Florida
night.
is known
I feel
in
like it's-
every
I feel like
election.
it's gonna be at 99% the entire night. It really just
They're
has
not calling it
changed.
tonight. There's no way they're going to call it tonight. And as I say that, watch, someone's going to end
Yeah,
up calling it.
someone's gonna call it.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm going to switch.
Actually, I should probably switch out because I have to.
Okay, I mean, if you want to switch out, go ahead. So we're going to switch out our desk here so that we can get more discussions in. So
More opinions, all that.
here we go.
It's been a pleasure.
So Noah, I wanna pose a question, Noah. It's looking increasingly like we're gonna see a 230 person control. Right? I think we're gonna see 230 Democrats in the House, approximately that. Maybe best case scenario, 238, something like that. What's it gonna? But also we're seeing increasingly that the Senate is not going to go to the Democrats this race. Texas was looking like a possibility for a while. I think it's increasingly. They might say too close to call. I'm going to call that Texas is not going to go to O'Rourke, unfortunately for him. What does our country look like where we have one House of Congress Democrat and one Republican?
I think it's going to be very interesting because you have to remember, something for the Supreme Court. The House really has no control over that. And that's
that's a
something
good
that 50% of voters in exit polls have said they were displeased with the way that the Kavanaugh hearing was treated, which is an interesting fact. That has been widely pointed to as the source of what kind of fired up a lot of the Republican base to actually get out and vote today in this election. But, it will create a serious issue for President Trump. He's going to have to work with the Democrats if they win the House to get, a lot of things done. The other thing that I've read is Democrats are going to use there's been some discussion that they're going to use a law to reveal Trump's tax returns, which we all know that he has been keeping
Hiding.
hiding his tax returns for years now, and if the Democrats can get control over that, who knows what they might find in there.
Now, it should be noted, though, that the tax returns, right, it's not that people in the government haven't seen them, right?
Right.
People have seen them. They've been audited multiple times. So there are people that know what they look like. Of course, they're bureaucrats that can't really do much about it.
Fair
So giving the American people the opportunity to see the tax returns, well, I think we might like to all believe that it might be a major thing. I'm not sure at this point in our country's history that it's going to be as big of a deal. And what does this look like for the 2020 election? What does this look like for Trump if one house is controlled by the Democrats and one house is controlled by the Republicans?
For the 2020 election, I have no idea. The 2020 election is going to have that is going to have a lot of Republican senators up. So it will give Democrats another chance to take the Senate away from him. But once again, if we see numbers from 2016, you're going to see that he's going to have a base that's going to come out, and they are most likely going to vote for straight ticket Republicans, most likely. And that's the major thing here is you have to remember that he's getting a base that isn't usually voting. It's usually people, farmers who who have to actually put in time and effort to get to the polls. And he's convinced them that he is, the right candidate for them. And so they're going out for him specifically and then voting on the rest of them. House is currently equal.
Yeah, that's
They both need 100 seats to take control.
But there's a much easier path for the Democrats at this point.
Right.
I think 538, I was just checking a second ago. We can go back there. 538 giving the Democrats an 8 and 9 chance of winning control of the House. Senate, they are barely giving any chance at all.
Less than 5.
Less than 5% chance, and it's been like that for quite a bit of time now. So at one point it was looking like there was a chance for Republicans to keep control of the House. Or that's gone. Any
gone.
sliver of that seems to be gone, and it seems like the Democrats will be taking the House this election. My prediction, 230 votes or 230 seats to the Democrats. I think maybe an ideal, you could see up to a few more, 3, 4, 5 more. That's always a possibility, but I think we're going to see about 230 seats. So that's a lead. It's not a huge lead. Right. A lot of things in the House are majority. In the Senate, you see a lot of 60 votes, 2/3.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah, that's true. But it's a lot of majority in the House, and the other thing is you see a lot more fluctuation in the way members of the House vote when compared to the Senate. The Senate votes tend to be pretty consistent. They're pretty predictable. The House, though, you get some wild candidates, some candidates that are voting the way you might not expect them to vote. And on both sides of the aisle, that's going to have a pretty big effect.
The Montana Senate race is too close to call at this point.
Yeah, which is John Tester, actually, the current incumbent senator from Montana. He got a little bit of fame early around the tax bill season last time this year, around this time last year. I'm sorry, for posting a viral video on Twitter where he showed the American people what the tax bill looked like, scribbles and all, and said, "This is what your government's doing, voting on this bill."
Oh, right.
I haven't even read it. We got it 3 hours ago, and we're voting on it in 3 more hours. So he got a little bit of fame there. John Tester did. But right now he is right up against Matt Rosendale. And that race is here. If we click in to that. Yeah, he's up 53-44, only 13% reporting. Obviously, Montana's a little bit over in the U.S., so their polls have just closed. And we'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah.
538's gone down to 7-8 instead of 8-9.
That's still decent for the Democrats. I think they still have a fairly large chance.
Coming back to let's see,
80% in for Texas. If we go down to Texas here, we're going to continue to check in with Texas. 80% in, and O'Rourke is down, it looks like 150,000 votes.
Yeah,
Pardon my
big
math.
thing to keep in mind here, Dallas, Texas, which is hugely going to O'Rourke, is only 28 in, and that's what makes this race so close. The precinct that has Dallas, Texas, right now it is going 65% to O'Rourke, and that's a lot of votes locked up in there. Right now he's behind by about 150,000 votes, but there are a lot of votes locked up in Dallas. There's a lot of votes locked up in Austin. He's beating O'Rourke by beating Cruz, by even more there, over a much larger percentage, 75% of the vote in the Austin precinct.
San Antonio, Bexar, once again, 33% in, and that is currently going to O'Rourke. Only slightly, but still, that'll be another area for him to pick up some votes here and there. The question is whether or not can he pick up enough votes.
Yeah.
And
it's really hard to say, though, because there are so many Republican, there are, I can't even count how many precincts there are in the state of Texas. Something looks like more than 50. And there are a lot of them that are Republican precincts, but they're really small. Like we see this one is 100% reporting. There's only 40,000 votes. So it's going to be very interesting as we see these larger precincts come. Most of the Republican larger precincts are, and there's some that aren't even reporting. Obviously, this race is still far too close to call, even though 80% of the state is reporting.
Right, and if we take a look at...
I think O'Rourke still has a chance, though. We can't throw it away yet. It's gonna be a close call, whatever it is, but the chance is not gone.
Yeah,
which is
and
really crazy.
Even the fact that it is such a close race is, once, as I said earlier in the broadcast, it is a reminder that it's not about the party; it is about the candidates. It's very much about the candidates.
Yeah, we're getting reports now. This just in. Deb Fischer and John Barasho projected to be the winners of Wyoming and Nebraska and Wyoming, respectively, in the U.S. Senate. So that's going to be 48 the Republicans are at now, solidly, compared to only 38 on the Democrats. Not looking good.
Not looking good for the Democrats.
For these remaining races, we can see Texas is definitely a land. We have no idea what's going to happen in Texas. Florida.
Too close to call. It's always going to be too close to call.
That's 99% reporting, though.
You have to remember, Texas is always too close to call, and it could easily go into a recount. We're looking at Arizona, where, once again, Democrats are hoping to take a couple seats here and there, which could balance out, if they manage to take Arizona, they want to take Nevada as well. that could even out the losses that they're going to be dealt in Indiana and possibly North Dakota. They better flip. They're hoping that they better flip Missouri back in McCaskill's favor. Yeah, I mean, we're looking at a lot of states right now. And I mean, let's face it, California is going to be Democrat. There's no possible way that it will be anything else because of their open primary system.
Yeah, a lot of controversy surrounding that system. A lot of people say it's too far in the direction of open primaries. A lot of controversy about closed primaries, obviously, but people say that California's gone a little bit too far with their system. Let's go back over to New Mexico. What started as a key race is now increasingly looking Democratic tonight. This is for governor. We're going back over to governor world. Taking a break from the Senate for a second. Grisham, I don't know how to pronounce her first name. With 55% of the vote, 44% reporting.
Yeah.
Again, only 44% reporting. Obviously, things can change, but that's a larger gap than we've seen in some of these really, really close states. Again, South Dakota closer than expected too, with 46% reporting. The Republican ahead by just under 2%. So in terms of the governor races, there's still a lot that can happen.
Yep.
Ohio's very close, 89% reporting, however, in Ohio. Maryland, not considered a key race. It's close, but it looks like Hogan's gonna have it, the incumbent.
How much is in the 54%? Okay.
Yeah. Want to check over the House, go into House Crazy Land?
Yeah, let's visit that.
Right now, the Republicans have won 124, Democrats 122. Nothing to worry about for the Democrats. They are not worried at all right now, though. Yeah, we've got an 88% chance by 538 of them winning, and it's easy to see why, right? We're going back to Montana. Remember, Montana only has one district, and that's tagged as a key race. Williams at 54% of the vote with only 12% reporting. We'll keep an eye on that district. That's Montana District 1 of 1.
Yes.
It's always interesting to look at the House map because you see just how red our country is, right?
Right. Right.
And how it's really these blue pockets concentrated in a few small areas where all the Democrat votes. Now we're back to 124 in the House.
Going to be interesting.
Let's see. Oh, it looks like Republicans have been called for one more race. What's that one? They're up 49 now.
They just need one more to win, and let's take a look
So
here.
we've got Vice President Pence.
Which
Is
all
North
right,
Dakota new?
North Dakota. Heitkamp has fallen to Kevin Kramer. He is now being projected as the winner of North Dakota. That is extremely bad news for the Democrats here. They've lost 2 seats so far.
Yeah, only 37% in, but looks like that projection is going to be in. If we zoom in, a lot of where the vote is locked up for is not looking good for Heitkamp. Yeah.
I mean, let's take a look. That's if we look at
That's not a lot though. Look at how many votes. It's only it's hard to go from these big states to the small states. North Dakota's got a tiny population.
Right. Yeah.
We see about 140,000 votes in, and
right?
that's 37% of their state.
So essentially, I mean, what we got. Wyoming's already been called. Tennessee's already been called. Missouri is not looking good for McCaskill right now. Let's actually zoom in on that. We need to take a look at this is where you're looking at St. Louis County, where only 12% is in. I have a feeling that's where a lot of the vote is being locked up right now for McCaskill right here, because she's already up so much in this little area right here. And if we look,
Yep. 538 is projecting a 100% chance of Republicans winning control of the Senate.
All right. I mean
100% chance. It's not often that statisticians go 100%.
So it looks like
CNN saying 49 to 38 still. 538 is calling one more state, I guess. Try to see which state. That's
Oh, hold up. We have to load 154.
So that's interesting. 538's reporting that John Tester is outperforming what he needs to do to win.
Senate. Sorry.
All party flips in the House have been by Democrats. All party flips in the Senate have been by Republicans. Very interesting. Maybe the American people really do want a bipartisan government.
I think that is very much, if that is the message that is taken away tonight, I think that the American people have done their job correctly.
Yeah, it's interesting. Our exit poll at Harriton showed an increase in people that were not split, that were straight ticket voting today. An increase in straight ticket voters from. Remember, this is self-reported, obviously. So it's interesting to see how that differs from the rest of the country, which apparently is not. We've got a projection coming in right now. And the projection is by CNN, also concurring with 538, that Republicans will keep control of the Senate with 50 seats.
At least. I mean, we are looking at if Texas goes, if Missouri goes. I think those are the seats that they're going to pick up. Once again, we have no idea what Nevada is looking like. I don't believe polls have closed yet, or they may just have.
38 to 50, we got that. We're projecting also Texas. Ted Cruz is the winner of Texas. That's going to be really sad for
Beto.
For Beto,
82% in, though.
82% in, they're projecting it, though.
All right. I mean,
does that bring it to? Oh, that's their 50.
That is their 50th. That is their 50th.
Here at Harriton TV, we are still considering Texas too close to call.
Yeah, I mean, it is. This was expected to go for Cruz. You know,
there's a lot of votes locked up in those big counties.
Yep. So it still is possible, but CNN does not get it wrong. You know, very often.
Yeah, once they make these projections, it's very rare that the projections flip.
However, you do see that. I mean, if you recall the famous picture from now, I guess, soon to be former Senator Heidi Heitkamp held up a newspaper of. It was the headline was that she had been defeated by her opponent in her last election, and she in fact won that election. So it is possible for it to be wrong, though it is highly unlikely.
Yep.
So we'll continue to keep you updated, but it does look like Republicans will keep control over the Senate by at least 50. They're probably going to make at least a couple more seats tonight, which is not going to please the Democrats at all. Now, we do have to talk about how much they're going to, pick up in the Senate, because...
Yeah, if they pick up, a 50-50 Senate is
50-50
very different than a 53-50 Senate.
Exactly.
Very different.
And you look at something like, Kavanaugh here, and you look at something like Supreme Court nomination, which
now, I think there's something we should note. They are not counting Vermont or...
No, they are.
Oh, they are?
They are counting Vermont
Democrats.
and Maine as Democrats. They do caucus with the Democrats, so they do count those as Democratic seats. But, right, we do have to take a look at, what the difference between a 52-48 and a 51-49 and a 50-50, because that is, something that will change. I mean, we got a whole lot of Supreme Court justices who are on the older side of, life, so to speak, that could retire or...
Ruth Bader Ginsburg came out and said she promises not to die or something like that, didn't she?
I'm sure she did.
She did. It was pretty funny.
SB still leading the Mississippi special election. They've not projected a winner for that.
Yeah, think about how crazy that is, right? This is the Senate. You've got two candidates, one up for regular election and one up for special election in the state of Mississippi. Two incumbents, both Republicans, and the races are going different ways. I think that's good news. I think that means American people, regardless of if they're voting Republican or Democrat, that means they're caring about the candidates and not just the parties.
Yes.
Because these are the same voters. That's what you have to keep in mind, right? We can't take our fingers and point at this and say, oh, well, some of these are, this is a different year, different voters are getting out, a candidate got a certain, class of voters to come out, right? These are the same voters, and they're voting for different candidates for different parties in the same election. I think that's something really unique, and I think that's a good direction to see our country going in.
Yep, I completely agree. I think that this is definitely looking like more and more people are displeased with both parties. In fact, I mean, we're in other news, we are 9 pickups needed by the Democrats for control over the House tonight, and governor race. Let's check in on that. 13-14 right now. Ohio still, that is a key race. 90% in, and it is not looking good for Democrat Richard Cordray right now. Florida still too close to call. We're looking at, all sorts of other states right now. Kansas was the major one that we had called before. But I do think it is interesting. If you take a look at this and you say, okay, well, if we're running purely based on, personality and how likable a candidate is, well, then Democrats are going to be looking at someone who is, likable enough from both parties, respected enough from both parties to be able to oust Trump in 2020. And those, that is going to be hard to find someone who can please, not just the Democratic base, but also kind of, hopefully for them, what they'll probably want to do is pull in Republican voters who are, unsatisfied with their own party and
Dissatisfied, yeah.
dissatisfied. Thank you. So I think that'll be interesting to see. Some names tossed around. Biden has said today that he will make a decision by next year, but as we all know, the real 2020 election starts tomorrow.
Yeah, seriously.
Speaking of after the election, I think it is interesting to talk about, especially with the Senate. Rumors have been flying for, weeks now. We all know that the special investigation with Robert Mueller, it is federal protocol to go silent 60 days before an election. So we haven't really heard anything from them in a while, but it is rumored that because now that Republicans have held control over the Senate, right? We are looking at a major shakeup, as speculated. We're looking at a lot of the intelligence officials being changed around, Department of Justice, stuff like that. Jeff Sessions probably not going to be there, and come 2019, and then it goes to what's his name?
We forget his name. Let's
Yeah.
talk about the polls in this election. I think the polls were a lot more accurate this time around. Did the polls fix their problems, Noah?
No.
No,
No.
you don't think so?
No.
Which states have gone against the polls? Let's remind our viewers. Which states did the polls
All
predict?
right.
So obviously Texas, right? It's no, the polls got,
polls got that right. No, let's.
but
let's
it was
talk
closer
About,
than expected.
it was closer than
That
expected.
happens.
You are right. Arizona currently. Sorry, I just have to talk about this because it's a flip since what we saw earlier. Martha McSally is currently up 55% in. That is going to be a razor tight race to watch. We were talking about Florida. Florida. You want to talk about where pollsters got it wrong? Polls have been saying, for weeks now that both the senators, the Senate candidates, and the governor candidates had a steady lead in the polls against the Republicans, and currently the Republicans are up in votes. You want to talk about other elections? You want to talk about Missouri?
Yeah.
You want to
I
talk
feel like
about
you can't predict
Indiana?
Florida ever.
No, you can't. I think people should just stop trying.
Yeah.
It's true. If you can't do it, you should just stop. No, we
I feel like there's a lot of late deciders in Florida.
All right. Yeah, that's true. You got the old people who have to drive down to their summer homes because they have a residence
Yeah, they
there
don't.
and
They
they
don't
gotta
like to
vote.
respond to the polls. I feel like the
Yeah.
polls come in, they say, "What do you want?" They hang up.
all the people who tried to vote with the ballots that got sent to them.
Mail-in ballots. So,
Couldn't do it.
oh yeah,
A lot of them didn't.
another story.
Students aren't able to.
Yeah, another story. Especially in Pennsylvania, we've heard a lot of people talking about their difficulties getting their absentee ballots to work. I know my dad personally had a difficulty getting his absentee ballot to work. He submitted it about 2.5 weeks in advance. That wasn't enough. We never got the form back in the mail. So it's supposed to be not postmarked, but received by the election place 7 days before the election, and you're supposed to be able to vote in that case. We would assume sending it from our house in Pennsylvania, it wouldn't take that long to get to the Montgomery County place, but apparently it didn't get there in time, or something else is going on.
Weird.
A lot of college students in the area also are reporting the same thing. And an interesting thing, if you're international, very different story though. International college students, we've heard great reports from them. They've been able to vote online in the case of an emergency. Their ballots have arrived promptly. So it's interesting that there's been more response to American voters overseas, they have to have an embassy address, I believe. But more response to American voters overseas trying to get their absentee ballots in. But lots of problems around here. We know of almost 10 or 15 specific examples just of that happening.
I think it's also interesting to note, I don't think we have official numbers yet, but based on early voting numbers, I mean, you saw something like a 663% increase from midterm elections. Like, these are not normal midterm numbers here. You have to understand that these are like presidential numbers, record numbers being set tonight across the country for things like this. It is, insane to see this. People were sharing stories on Twitter earlier today, all about, I voted for the first time, I'm 34 or whatever. A whole lot of people.
Yeah, AP is also calling the Texas race, saying Ted Cruz has won. AP has gotten things wrong in the past. I've seen that. They were the first to call the Alabama special election race against Roy Moore. They called it really early, and they were right. But definitely they've gotten
7 new updates. Let's check it out. Democrats pick up 3 House seats. Republicans pick up 1. Ooh. All right. Democrats pick up a win in Pennsylvania, once again, because of the gerrymandering, which is massive, right? That's another reason why Democrats really want to win the governor's race, right? And also not in this election, but
have won the governor's race in Pennsylvania.
Right, but all over the country, because the governor does have to sign off, I believe, on the redistricting maps in 2020, which will essentially determine the fate of the nation for the next 10 years in terms of voting, which, both parties play the game of let's redistrict and force everyone into this little section and try to get as many seats as you can.
Noah, keep talking. I'm going to grab Max's computer just so I can switch between some things up here.
Absolutely. But yeah, so we're talking about, record numbers being set here tonight, and it's very interesting to see everything that's going on. So I'm just going to keep scrolling through all of these. Senate at this point lost cause for the Democrats. Pretty much. Oh, good, you're back. Yeah. Wow, way to unplug my computer. I see how it is.
We're getting another laptop up here because why not?
Now we just need papers, and we can, throw papers everywhere.
This one actually allows us to switch between our map,
okay.
though, so that's kind of important.
Oh, look, I see myself.
Here, let's switch seats, actually, Noah, just so that,
Why?
because I got a plan.
Okay.
We're doing this live. All right.
Okay. I'm now on the left.
And I'm now on the right.
Okay, then. What's your master plan?
So, let's pull up the 2016 map on here.
All right.
And it's got a pretty cool intro. So you'll all get to see that. And as soon as this loads, this is the 2016 map. Oh, it's not doing what I want. All right, let's try another app. This one. This one's a little more detailed if I remember correctly. Just let me zoom in.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, that's really sad.
It's fine. All
right. Well, anyway, from this map, and I think the best thing to do, let's start with the governor races, right? So let's compare this to our governor races. If we go up here, is this in the...
No, they can't see it. You
Oh,
gotta
okay.
go
Let's do it
check
on this
that-
computer.
Check that, but they can't see that either.
Yeah.
So you have to say what's going on.
All right. All right. If we come over here to governor races. All right. Pennsylvania voted red, obviously, in 2016, going blue for the governor. That's a big deal. Maine. Maine's complicated, as we all know, right, with their split voting, going blue. This is interesting. New Hampshire, though, and Vermont, which voted blue in 2016, going red for governor races right now. New Hampshire still in the mist, but Vermont a solid red. Same with Massachusetts, went red but was blue in 2016. So that's a little disappointing for the Democrats, don't you think, to be losing these governor races that they lost with Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton, obviously not the most popular candidate the Democrats have had. People were always saying at that time, oh, anyone but Hillary and we'll be fine, right?
Well, I think that was kind of the thought in the 2016 election was, the Democrats put up the only person that could lose to Donald Trump, and the Republicans put up the only person that could lose to Hillary Clinton. And it was just, a weird election to see. But this proves my point that we've been saying all night. I mean, even at a high school level, it's a popularity contest for student council offices. We're looking at this at a national level, and it's literally a popularity contest. People like candidates more than like parties, and that is going to be a major change, I think, moving forward in 2 years, 4 years, moving on, because I think that it is not about you're not just going to vote straight ticket anymore. You're going to vote based on who you're going to research, because we live in a new era where everyone has access to these technology where you can easily look up whoever you want to look up and learn about, and you'll be able to vote based on what their specific things and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see moving forward. I think we're going to see more split government. I think we're going to see more kind of divided races here.
Yeah, going back up, this is actually I meant to pull up the governor map. Just comparing it to 2016, Max, we're using this as a switcher because we want to be able to switch at will between the two. Thank you.
Say goodbye to the people.
Huh?
Can I say bye to the people?
Yeah, Lindsay's heading out right now. Lindsay would like to say bye. Say bye, Lindsay.
Goodbye. Enjoy your politics.
All right, Lindsay's saying bye, everyone. Comparing this to the governor races, though, what else do we have that's different? Arizona, a solid red, now looking like a toss-up. Texas, we saw, we're seeing, this is governor races, 56% red, and this is this year compared to a much higher percentage red in 2016. I don't have that exact number right now. All very interesting. Florida,
It all comes back to Florida.
it's always Florida. It's so funny to me how Florida, after so many years, why is it always Florida? Why?
It's because
Has it always been Florida?
I think it's always been Florida, and
We know it was Florida in the 2000s, right?
Florida in 2000s, Florida into that. It is.
Was it Florida in the 90s? Florida in the 80s?
I don't know. I think we would have to look those up. But it is because of the aging population. There have been arguments made recently, which some agree with. Anyone over the age of 80 shouldn't be able to vote because it's not their future. But
Whoa, we're getting a little radical now, Noah.
these are just ideas thrown out by other people.
People, not you.
People, not me. No. I would never throw something like that out.
Yeah.
Okay then. So, yeah, it has routinely been Florida, which is, expected.
Yeah, I think that's largely just due to the yes, you have a lot of the older generation in Florida. You also have a lot of the younger generation in Florida. It's a less expensive place to live in the United States, right? So it's more affordable for a lot of younger generations who don't really have that much free cash. Florida's interesting. Florida will continue to be interesting. I don't think anyone sees Florida not being interesting. Let's see if there's been any updates. Otherwise, I think we'll take a break. We're sitting at 140 on the House, but
7.
only
Or-
7 needed for the
I
7
think
pickups
that's gone
needed.
up by 1. It was 6 at one point, if I recall correctly.
I think it was 9. Maybe not confirmed on that. Yeah, Pennsylvania looking a lot more blue than it used to. This is really crazy for me to see. I can't even believe Pennsylvania is this blue. Still a lot of contention in PA District 1, 51 to 48% between Fitzpatrick and Wallace.
Which,
Again, very close in.
fun fact, they threw more money into that race than they did the senator race
Wow.
in Pennsylvania, yeah.
That's crazy. Well, I guess, our Senate race was pretty much set, so.
Yeah.
Not too. A lot of people like Casey. And just think about that, too. That's kind of crazy, too. 2 years ago, our state elected a Republican to the Senate, and it shows we like candidates more than we like parties in a lot of cases. Another contentious one, PA District 16, between DeNicola and Kelly. Kelly being the incumbent, DeNicola up with a slight lead right now. That's interesting. Of course, incumbent's a little bit meaningless in our state right now.
Fair enough.
Just because everything's so moved around. I remember, you see all these candidates like Dwight Evans and stuff, PA2, like trying to figure out where they're going to run, who they're going to run against. Let's see if we can pull up Evans's race. I kind of want to see how he's doing.
That's New Jersey.
Oh, yep, that is New Jersey. I would expect that Evans is having an easy time, though.
Let's find out here.
Yeah, Evans, 93%.
Where do you see that?
You're right. I'll pull it up. It's right here. Dwight Evans up 93% to
Yeah,
6%.
there you go.
I actually met Dwight. That's 97% reporting. Yep, I think Evans is going to win that.
Yeah.
Evans, I met once. He's a nice guy. I can't say I can say too much positively about him or negatively about him. I've never been too impressed with any individual member of the House of Representatives,
Fair
because I
enough.
don't think they do much, to be completely
Wow.
honest.
Wow.
They don't. And
They're just as important, Sam. They're a functioning part of our democracy that's extremely important to.
I'm just
checks
telling
and
you, I'm on his
balances.
email. I'm on his email chain. I'm
Yep.
saying as individuals, maybe as groups. I followed his voting record a little. I'm on his email chain, and I can't say I've seen him do too many things that have impacted my life in any way, shape, or form whatsoever.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And I think you see that. I see more impact on my life from, like, the school board members, and
Well-
obviously I'm in school, but like the commissioners, I see way more impact on my life than I do from any of these national positions. Obviously, if you have to keep scale in mind, but I don't know. I just think it's interesting that even as a representative, not too much going on.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but again, winning by obviously he picked a pretty safe district to run again in. With 93% of the vote, that's not even close. A lot of these Pennsylvania districts, it's interesting. A lot of these big, and by big I don't mean big in population, but big in size, Republican districts. It seems like, although this map may be non-gerrymandered, it seems like the districts that each candidate has are very clearly for that candidate. So maybe now our districts are more representative of people with shared beliefs, which
Right.
isn't necessarily what you're going for. You're going for people that like live in the same area, know each other, care about the same issues. Not necessarily people that agree on politics. That's the purpose of redistricting. So that's interesting too, just to see that. We're up 142 to 141. Yeah, I'm kind of ignoring these numbers. They don't really matter, because we know what's going to happen with the House. Senate, they're still not calling more than 50. I think I'm projecting either a 51 or 52 for the Republicans, although
Yeah.
it's really close to say that it's so funny that they haven't changed Texas. They're projecting it, but they won't change it. They won't change it to be red because they're still not sure. Although I think we're going to have to say
Florida is still too close to call.
that's 99% reporting. Let's check
It's
in on
going
Florida.
to be. It's going to be too close to call.
Florida, do you think we'll go into a recount?
You got to double tap it. And I'm gonna switch over.
Why isn't it? No, it's not doing the thing.
Oh my god,
It's not doing the thing, Noah.
it's not doing the thing.
Let's take a look at some exit polls. That'll be
Sam,
fun. We
Sam
haven't done that
broke
yet.
our machine, so that's great.
Exit polls. Males edging out females on the Republican, 51% to 59. So that's interesting. It's
You've broken our.
yeah. I literally everything's falling apart at my hands.
Yeah. No. All right. I'm gonna switch back to
Yeah.
us.
Hi guys.
Yeah.
Welcome in. All right. Let's exit polls. Thank you.
I'm gonna switch it back once we actually get it up.
All right, here we go. It's back.
Okay.
So
All right.
this is interesting. I mean, this isn't too new. I guess they're a little bit better at collecting responses at the national level. Because we only, in our exit polls, and pretty much no guys wanted to answer. It was kind of a shame. We had some people give us the cold shoulder, just walk right by.
Oof.
Yeah, it was a little rude, but it's okay. I forgive them. Voting's a very personal thing. The headline on CNN has been the same for an hour, so they've clearly got nothing new. Yeah, so obviously females more strongly Democrat than males are Republican. So that's interesting. In terms of age, kind of what you'd expect. You get the younger generation overwhelmingly voting Democrat. Older generation not as overwhelmingly voting Republican. But there's, as you can see, 65 and older, between 45 and 65 and older, that's over half. And, young people just aren't turning out. And there's more young people than old people alive.
I believe Gen Z is now beginning to be the most eligible, largest. They're larger than millennials.
The darn millennials. They're not voting, Noah.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to talk about, the age group, our generation is going to be. I was reading, another article the other day about, top issues for Generation Z, and it's going to be healthcare, if that isn't decided yet, and it's going to be gun control. Over 2/3 of people have said that their number one priority, if they're in Generation Z,
people our age care about gun control.
Is gun control, which is interesting to see because, usually it's the economy, and then there will always be other issues out there that usually fall secondary to that. But it is very interesting to see that, our generation is being defined by gun violence and gun control. So,
yeah, this is also interesting. If we go to this education, I don't know where all of the Republican votes are coming from because it seems like every single one of these is more people Democrats. So maybe people skipped questions, but no, they would be showing that. So I don't know where all these Republican votes are coming from, to be honest. According to this, that's my mom texting me. That's okay. Hi, Mom.
sorry about that.
Yeah, just going through this a little bit more. Lower incomes voting for Democrats. $200,000 or more. This is per year income. 9% of the population. Our country's not doing that bad if 9% of voters are making $200,000 or more a year. $100,000 or more, that's 25 plus 9. That's a good income. And those are going Republican just slightly. We can see the under 30,000's larger than the over 200,000, about double the size. So our country is skewed a little bit in that direction, unfortunately.
But if you look at it, right? If you look at the people that are voting, that is kind of an even hump of distribution across there, right?
It's good. Let's see. No, they just have it divided 20 different ways. Party IDs. So this is interesting. Of course, a little too close to make any deductions. 37 people identifying as Democrat, and of those who identified Democrats, 96% voting Democrat. Republican, 33% identifying Republican, 93% voting Republican, and independents, it looks like this election were a little bit skewed Democrat.
Look at that, though. That is...
And this would explain a lot of the House races.
True. But, I mean, if you want to talk about, look at this. This is almost, a third are Democrats third or Republicans third or independents?
Yeah.
Which, I don't think we should be saying, but that is what's playing out, and it's interesting to see that playing out. Once again, less people playing by party lines.
Yeah. I see. I don't even know how this works because this shows married and unmarried people voting Democrat. But like if that's the case, then what are
I
you?
mean-
If you're married, if you're not married or unmarried, like
I
Where
mean,
are these
it is
some of
only
these don't-
slightly.
I know, but like these answers don't make sense to me sometimes.
Fair enough.
Are you a parent? Yes and no, both Democrat. Like what the heck? Yeah, I mean you can see these things are kind of useless at some point.
All right, I think we should take a break now.
Yeah.
We've kind of entered, a little lull
Lull
here.
in results. It's okay. We will
will
be back soon though.
Yep.
Yeah, next polls will close in 2 minutes. Of course, it'll take some time for results to come in. And we will see you in a second. Hi everyone, we're back.
We are back tonight.
Oh, let's see. So, let's go back to the Senate. Let's start with the Senate. Noah, wait. Any races announced while we were gone?
Oh, by the way, I'm Max Harris. I'm the stage manager. I'm filling in for Noah Stalmson while he rests his throat.
Yeah.
Hawaii governor's been announced as David Ige.
Ice.
Ice?
Ige.
No,
you are right.
it's a G. Okay, he's a Democrat.
Of course, it's a Democrat. It's Hawaii. That's Ohio. Ohio is a little contentious. They're still projecting. Let's see, 94% in. Well, let's bring this on screen so y'all can see. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree.
It seems like we're sensing a general pattern that it's basically decided at this point that Democrats are going to take the House, but the Senate is.
Yeah, CNN's projecting both. The Senate's already determined. The Senate's determined.
The Senate's 100% going to be Republicans at this point.
Yeah. If we go over to the House, you can see they've put the check mark next to Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously these districts over here, there's still a lot to come in. Because they just closed their polls pretty much.
Right.
Going over to the Senate. It's so funny. They've called, we've all called Texas, 92% in. Really unfortunate. I was, not to give away any bias here, I was hoping for a work, though.
It would be interesting to see Texas as a blue state.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
It's
There's still a lot of, he was a very charismatic politician. There's still a lot of vote locked up in some of these larger districts, San Antonio and Dallas especially. Let's see if Dallas, 58% reporting. But it's not going to be enough to carry them through, it doesn't look like. Although it's going to end close. Might go into a recount. We'll see about that. Let's go over to let's see, New Mexico. They project. Yeah, Arizona, still very contentious. Let's see if we can zoom into Arizona. So that's interesting. Phoenix. Oh wait, I want to get out of here. Phoenix. Normally where you see a big city, well, Phoenix isn't. There's not too many big cities in Arizona, but Phoenix, the district that has Phoenix, very close race. You're seeing a lot more solid blue in other areas.
It seems like Phoenix is going to end up going blue though, just because
it's got by far the most votes in it. That county.
It's very close, but it seems like what percent's reporting in Phoenix?
84.
Okay.
That's
actually
Minicorpa municipality.
So actually, at this point, it could go either way because Siema, who is the Democratic candidate, is at 49.1%, and McSally is at 42.9%. So, I mean, I'm sorry. McSally's at 48.8%. So things are really close there. We'll see though.
Yeah, and the rest of these don't even matter. Well, this one does a little bit. This one with
Tucson.
Tuscan.
Tucson, it's not Tuscan.
Tucson. Oh, it is?
It's
Okay.
Tucson.
Sorry about that. Yeah, these other ones, though, you can see like
Tuscan.
6,000 votes. This is a good example of a state. Every vote counts because half the votes are in, and there's only going to be about 2 million votes cast total in that state. Every vote matters. Elections every single year prove that, and people don't believe it for some reason. I like this. California, only 7% reporting, but they're saying it's going Democrat. Probably because the only two candidates are both Democrats. So that's funny. I think what'll be interesting is to see how many more seats Republicans pick up in the Senate, if any. I think we can predict that they'll probably these remaining Senate races. They're counting Texas right now. They're not counting Florida or Arizona yet. So potentially, in an ideal scenario for the Republicans, potentially up to 52 seats in the Senate now. So that's better than it initially was looking for the Democrats. It was looking at some point like there could potentially be even 4 extra seats that the Senate would have, but Just 2, and that's like a best case scenario. Or, well, actually, really 3, right? Because we've got this Mississippi special election. Still too close to call there. 81% report. That's interesting. How is that possible? That for one of the elections, and these are the same polling place, for one of the elections you have 81% in. And here, look, check this out. For the special election in Mississippi, we have 81% reporting for the special election, but only 79% reporting. I feel like that must be a mistake. Because you go to the same place to vote. So, yeah,
maybe they're prioritizing
I
one
don't
of the
know.
elections.
I find
That's weird.
this race so interesting because you have the same voters voting for potentially different candidates, right? And
Well, let's talk about I want to talk about Maine and Vermont. So Maine and Vermont currently are the only 2 purple states, and purple states are states where a senator from
well, these are both basically Democrats, though. They're not technically Democrats, but they're basically Democrats.
well, anyways, what it's showing is hold on. Purple.
These races are determined.
Okay. Well, anyways, it's crazy to see the purple states where a Republican and Democrat both were elected. Is that what they're indicating?
No.
Oh, it's
Okay.
independent.
A purple state just means they're independent. Yeah, so like Bernie
okay.
Sanders is technically well, I'll put the program back on for this. Bernie Sanders is an independent. He's a Democrat.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Okay.
So, those states don't pay too much attention. They're counting those as blue, in fact. Yeah, but the Democrats. Best case scenario for the Republicans. I'm thinking right now, according to this map, they're gonna have so up to 54. They're counting Texas actually. So up to 53 seats. That would be a pretty big lead. If we remember right now, they have 51 seats. The Republicans in the Senate. So that would be an increase of 2. They really, if you remember, there were a lot of close votes this year in the Senate. Or it came down to 1 or 2 votes, just convincing 1 or 2 senators. So if they can afford to lose more, that's going to make it easier for things to go through. Just, every senator makes a difference. There's no races in any of the gray states, Max. Florida, are we
Florida's still way too close to call.
well, it's 99% reporting.
Yeah. Florida will be announced any second now. That's a big one.
Here, we can bring that up on screen.
Yeah, so you're noticing that mostly it's blue, except for around big cities like Miami. It's mostly red, but around the big cities like Miami right here is blue. Tampa's blue, or projected blue at least. Orlando's blue, and right up here, this is blue. I believe this is where a university is. Generally, you see a blue spot around universities, and then also Tallahassee's blue. Jacksonville isn't decided yet. Thanks. So it's just important to note that Florida's very close.
Yeah. It's really this Texas race has been the race of the night in my opinion. If there's one race that's been close, a crazy race, it's this Texas race. We didn't know how it was going to go beforehand. We didn't know it was going to be this close, although Cruz seems to be steadily increasing his lead with now 95% reporting. So it looks like O'Rourke's out, but closer race than we expected. And I wouldn't be surprised if O'Rourke runs again. Noah, what do you think? Yeah, he was very, very well liked by a lot of people. Arizona, yeah, too close to call. California, we know that's Democrat. Are they counting California yet? No, I don't think so, but they should be. Oh, yes. Well, now they're saying 42. Montana.
Let's check the House race, see if anyone
Montana, only 29% reporting. It's interesting. Montana's been coming in really slow. John Tester, we talked about him a little bit earlier. He got a little. Montana's not clicking in because Montana is only one district.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's what you see from states where basically 90% of their land is national parks.
Yeah, Montana's great though. I've been to Montana. It's
beautiful
really nice,
state.
actually.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Not saying it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Just saying there's not a lot of people there.
Yes, not a lot of people in Montana.
Let's check out the House race, see if anything else is coming.
Yeah, let's see about the House race. I mean, we know how it's going to go at this point.
165 Democrats, 164 Republicans.
Yeah, let's see how Pennsylvania's doing. That's what I care about. So we've got. Let's try to count this. We've got one. Oh, if I click these, I'm not going to be able to see though. All right. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh wait, 1, 2. No, stop. Okay.
Let's put this on the.
Yeah, put this on screen. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 districts either red or projected red, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 districts blue or projected blue. So, 9 actually, because Pennsylvania has 18 districts, I believe, right? 18? Yeah. We got a projection coming through. We'll keep you up to date with that. Yeah, nothing really that crazy on this projection. We've got California being projected to go to Feinstein. Surprise, surprise. Hawaii projected to go to Mays Hirono. Mays Hirono.
Yeah.
Minnesota projected to go to Tina Smith. And the final one is
If this wants to switch.
Washington State going to Maria Cantwell. Maria Cantwell. I'm sorry. So nothing too crazy there. And really a runoff. How does that work? So we got Noah Salmonson coming back to explain what's going to happen in Mississippi right now.
If he wants to just hop on my mic, I'll step off and.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So as we've been talking about, all night, in this Mississippi special election, right? If neither candidate gets 50%, they do enter a runoff, and this was a battle royale between 4 candidates, and none of them received the victory royale that they wanted.
Oh my gosh, Noah.
So we are going to have to. I couldn't resist. So they are going to have to go into a runoff election later this year that will determine that Senate seat. So we don't even know how close it's going to be. Yeah. So that's,
let's go
that's
back to this
interesting.
map really fast. This shows the seats that flipped, or the districts that flipped rather. So you can see all of these blue districts are districts that were red and now are blue due to Pennsylvania's crazy redistricting. Pennsylvania is now perfectly balanced as all things should be. We've got one senator of Noah almost lost it there for a second. We've got well, actually not perfectly balanced technically because our governor and it looks like how's our lieutenant governor doing? Have we checked on that race at all?
It's a single ticket.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you vote for both?
Yes, that's correct.
Then how would we have a Republican and Democrat before?
We didn't. We had a Democrat who hated his lieutenant governor
Oh.
and didn't give him anything to do. The lieutenant governor, if you guys don't know, they essentially sit around and wait for the governor to die, or the governor gives him responsibilities. And Tom Wolf did not give, I believe, Mike Stack, if I recall correctly, is our current lieutenant governor, and they do not like each other, and they.
Even though they were both Democrats. Though.
Yes.
Interesting.
Um,
So that'll be interesting now that we have a different lieutenant governor. So Pennsylvania, we've got one senator of each, which is beautiful. I like that actually.
Yep.
Wouldn't it be nice if every state had one senator of each party? We've got 9 representatives of each now.
Really?
Yeah. Look at this. We've got here. Let's pull this map
Yep.
up. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh wait, no.
Is that
Maybe
New
we have
Jersey?
10. Oh no, wait, is that New Jersey? I can't tell.
I think that is New Jersey.
It's so hard to see this.
Yeah, I believe that is New Jersey.
Where does New Jersey end and where does Pennsylvania start? Great question.
I don't.
Maybe if I zoom out, I can see it a little better. This is PA. What's this one? That's PA 2. That's New Jersey though. This is PA. That's New Jersey. This is PA Pennsylvania's a weird shape, let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Pennsylvania's got, but that's Pennsylvania. All right.
That's New York.
Yeah. So, actually, it looks like we maybe we have one more Republican seat than Democrat. We've got 1, 2,
That's-
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How many seats are in Pennsylvania? Let's Google this. I think it's. Is it 18 or 20 or?
I think we have 20 electoral college votes and then 18. I don't remember. All I know is that it's changed in 2020 after the census.
Oh, really?
I mean,
Well, yeah, probably.
they do it every 10 years.
18 seats, yeah.
18 seats? All right.
Yeah.
So
18 seats and wait, so I'm so confused because I'm
you counted wrong. You
Yeah.
somehow
1, 2. There's all these small ones right over here near Philadelphia. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. So as I thought initially, 9 seats Republican, 9 seats Democrat in the state of Pennsylvania. We are perfectly balanced as all things should be, except for governor, which is actually a really big deal because the governor does quite a bit.
fair enough.
Um,
I mean, to balance that out, of course, the state Senate and state House are Republican.
Oh,
and
really?
have been for years, yes. I don't think I believe once in the past, 50 years or something, they flipped Democrat.
Interesting.
But that was very,
Anything different over in Senate land?
nope. Kind of hit,
We've hit that time when results aren't coming in
nope.
fast. We've hit that time where CNN's back to commentary instead of making predictions. Yeah, they're doing the circle thing. That's cute.
Let's all yell at each other.
Yeah.
I agree with you, but let me agree with you more.
Yeah, exactly. See, any comments?
Hold on. We need to switch back. We never switch back.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Hi everyone, we're
Yeah.
back. Governors. Let's see, are we on the governor one? Yeah. Republicans getting their states that they were going to win in a little earlier. They're calling the Ohio race for DeWine. That happened a little while ago,
yeah.
actually. Arizona, that happened a little while ago. California, why aren't they counting California yet? I don't know. Well, I guess they are.
They are.
Oregon.
Not yet.
Wait a minute. Now, this is interesting. I thought they had called Oregon earlier. Maybe they've uncalled it. Does that happen? Not too often. It does, though. Idaho, close, but
Only 22% in.
yeah, only 22% in. Idaho is a pretty solid red state, I think, though.
Yeah.
Minnesota's a pretty solid blue state.
But
This
Minnesota
Wisconsin
is
one-
a actually. Let's switch
This
back over.
Wisconsin one will be interesting to watch.
Here. Was the which
Oh,
one?
Idaho just became more red.
Yeah. No.
Just
Which one
become
just
like pink.
flipped? Something just flipped.
Yeah, it was Idaho.
No. Something just flipped. It had little key that said Democrat. Oh, it was Illinois. No. And Michigan.
Let's pull up the flip seats map.
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah, no Republican seats turned. So
No Democrat.
yeah, no
seats.
Democrat seats turned Republican so far. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's good news for the Democrats. Yeah, for those of you who weren't tuned in earlier, I'd like to go back to this exit poll we took at our school. Our school is a voting location, Harriton High School. And in fact, I'll pull this up in my photos just because it's a little easier to see. Yeah. So our school is a voting location, so we took an exit poll there, and that was pretty fun. It's not necessarily very representative. Obviously, we know how Pennsylvania's voted already. Take a look at this. We have a large range of ages. You can see it's pretty scattered. Starting at 18 and going all the way up to 79. A few people right in here, straight out of college voting, or straight
In
into
high
college.
school?
Yeah, in high school even a few. Way up through the years. Obviously, the bulk of the data concentrated up here. A lot of the older generation, we tried to recruit them, but they didn't really want to fill out our poll or had trouble. Anyone that seemed to have trouble using the computer, we worked very hard to make sure that they were still able to complete our poll. We only had one person give up and refuse to continue, which we tried to keep them. But most people in general, if the computer was the problem, we tried to tried to not make that an issue to prevent them from filling out our poll. A lot of mostly Caucasian in our area too. We knew that. I think though white people were a little bit overrepresented in our poll compared to who we saw coming in.
Fair enough.
So that's something to note too. I know our school is not this high percentage. Well,
Our
might
school
be.
is that high percentage. Our
Yeah.
school has consistently been rated. In fact, that is one of the grades that we've constantly gotten.
Yeah, we always get a low grade in diversity.
Yep, absolutely. It
Yeah,
is the
so-
one thing that keeps us from being the #1 school in the state of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, female overrepresentation for sure. A lot of guys did not want to fill out our survey. We got like really shut down very rudely by some people. It was kind of sad. You'd be like, hey, you want to do our completely anonymous, poll for our school newspaper, and they like wouldn't even look at us, and it's like, okay, we know you heard. Yeah, so women were a lot nicer to us in general. That's one thing I can say. We also, if people were clearly like in a rush, we weren't stopping them, but we tried to, on average, we tried to sample every 10th person. This is obviously crazy. You do not see this in most places in the country, but if I just grab my marker really fast, all of this, that whole Pac-Man slice is Noah's drawing some dots on there right now. Yeah, boop 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 boop. That whole slice, that's all bachelor's or graduate degrees. Wow, like think about that, right? So if you think about that educational level, this is right here. That's high schoolers mostly. So that's a bunch of high schoolers. So really, very very educated in our community compared to lots of other places in the world. Marital status I'll kind of ignore. It's kind of useless considering we had so many young people. Obviously if people are voting in midterms, they're probably voting in presidential elections too, as to be expected. A higher turnout than average for midterm elections in our area according to this self-reported data. So that's interesting.
Yep.
Here, this is kind of fun. For the people that said that they weren't normally at high turnout for midterm elections, we asked why they did vote. You can see the
boy.
comments. Horrible president. I turned 18. Well, I mean, obviously you aren't a normal voter then. Things have to change.
General direction on government policy.
Everything sucks. Issues. I like that. Just issues. Keep it simple.
Concerned about American democracy. Very much.
The state of our country. The State of the Union with Jake Tapper on CNN. Okay.
Wow, way to be biased.
Yeah, let's just do
Gosh.
some plugs. What issues do you care about? Lots of healthcare. Healthcare. We had 6 healthcares.
8. It's late, but you don't know how to count, do you?
Oh,
That's
8
four-
healthcares. Yeah, people spelled it 2 different ways because healthcare has 2
That's
spellings
still
apparently.
that's not an excuse on why you couldn't count to 8,
Yeah.
Sam.
Noah's in math studies. Disclaimer.
At least I can count to 8. Just saying.
Gun control. Yeah, 2 people said that. The economy, although people said economy down here, they just spelled it a little differently. So economy is of the utmost important. Checks and balances, helping the less fortunate. Noah's laughing for some reason. I must have said something. No, you want to explain yourself?
I'm good. I'm good.
All
We're
right.
good.
Moving on. Which political party do you generally identify with? Oh, now I know he's laughing. Okay, continuing on. Which political party do you generally identify with? We've got Democrat and blue, Republican and red, independent and orange, and one person who put in constitutionalist. Way to be different.
Okay, then.
That's the nice thing about our country. You are entitled to be a constitutionalist if you would like to be one. And that person certainly showed it. What's going on right now, Democrat?
Oh, Nancy Pelosi is
All right,
speaking.
according to our HGS TV member Max Harris, the news is Nancy Pelosi is just screaming about stuff. Actually, she looks like she's talking quite calmly. I don't think screaming would be an accurate characteristic. I'm sure the Democrats are very excited to be taking back the House. I mean, obviously, no Senate take back, but they weren't really expecting that, were they? So what's important to note here, though, is just look at this makeup and then look at how it compares to the races, right? So way over, Tom Wolf overperforming the results of the Democrats and the Republicans.
Can we go back to the governor for a second? I just do want to touch on, governor race here. I mean, once again, we're seeing some governor who is somewhat well liked, right? But you also have to, and Scott Wagner was really not well liked. I mean, if you saw the Facebook video that he posted a couple weeks ago, where he said something about stomping, like, on, like, Wolf's face with, like, soccer cleats or something. It was disturbing.
Yeah, I just drew this little graph to show. This kind of shows what the this is like. I guess this is technically here. I'll draw like a little yellow in there because it was other two. But just to compare, you can see that you have a candidate much more popular.
Across party lines.
Yeah, we switched the colors here accidentally. We switched the colors here accidentally. Oh, Noah's saying you don't actually vote for lieutenant governor though.
No.
Oh, so
not
that was
usually.
an oof on our part because we put that in. But whoops, we're learning.
At least on the thing I looked at.
Interesting that there's slightly different results for the
No.
lieutenant governor.
No, that's not possible.
Oh, there are though.
No.
Yeah, there's slightly different results for the lieutenant governor. All right, we're gonna give
Okay.
people a headache.
That's weird.
Yeah. So I guess people.
Okay then.
This could be a test of our poll's accuracy. People are just like clicking the buttons that they think they did, not actually what they
Interesting.
really did. Senate, Bob Casey again overperforming what the amount of Democrats and Republicans in our area. So that's interesting too. House of Representatives, Dean slightly less popular than Casey. She's an incumbent, not as well known as Casey for sure. And remember with the redistricting, everything's different because our previous rep was Dwight Evans.
Right.
So he was new last year or 2 years
years
ago. I'm
ago.
sorry, not anymore. And he won 93% of the vote this year, so I guess he's doing all right. Although I haven't seen him do much. Did you vote straight ticket today? Almost more than 75% of people saying yes. And what's even more interesting is that in general, people say no, they do not vote straight ticket. So that was a change today, with fewer people or more people voting straight ticket in our area, or that were responding to our poll. So obviously across the nation that was not necessarily the case, because if that was the case, the Senate might have flipped, but it didn't. So straight ticket was not the case.
Yeah.
That's a picture of our setup. Everyone,
Yeah.
in case you're interested in
In
that.
case you're wondering.
It's pretty cool, right?
In fact, if we switch back here, we should be able to see.
Yeah, I'm gonna head back over to this and see how our
What are you looking
thing's
at?
doing. Just see how the Senate's doing and all that. And then I
Alright.
think we're gonna sign off for the night.
Yeah.
I think we all know how this race is going at this point.
We'll be signing off for the night, probably around midnight.
It's 11:46 now, so
Someone's phone is ringing over here.
I'll get it in a sec, Max. It's Ricky? Yeah, you can answer.
We are on the
So,
live camera
yeah,
right now.
let's see.
Let me
Governor,
switch it.
not much has changed. Senate, not much has changed. I keep checking this Texas like in dire hope, but nothing's
Nope.
gonna change.
What do you mean dire hope? I mean
Not hope.
who's
I don't
won?
have bias. What?
Wow. I will have you know that Max and Sam constantly.
Look, everyone likes O'Rourke, all right? He's a likable guy.
if he's so
Cruz
likable, why did he lose?
Is less likable. Because Texas is a deep red state, my friend. Florida, some
It's-
would consider that an upset, but it's Florida, so nothing's an upset in Florida.
Yeah, still not called.
Not called, but should be. Automatic recount question mark? I don't know.
Let's. I actually want to look that up really quickly. How close?
Yeah, that's a good question.
How close do you have to be to
trigger.
Arizona 57 reporting. Still plenty of room for anything to happen there.
All right, election.
Missouri.
That is.
They're not calling it yet, but I think they probably should be.
Let's take a look if we can zoom in here, because
Oh wait, no. Here's why. Here's why they're not calling it. Oh wait, Jefferson City.
Jefferson City's over there.
So
No, you're looking at what you really want to be looking at here is the major populations where, McCaskill
85%.
hasn't. You're looking at, that's a good 15% that isn't in.
wait.
And those are two counties right there. City and county. So take a look at the city.
This is hard, guys. I'm sorry. St. Louis.
Okay, that is 100% in. They're calling that. But
Yeah,
there's 15%
I would
there.
expect. I think Missouri is pretty clear at this point, but
That's
apparently not. Ohio, Brown coming in. Ohio's governor, Democratic governor, lost though. I always find it interesting when a Democratic senator wins. It's kind of good to see, to be honest. Michigan, not calling it yet, but it looks like the Democrat has a pretty good lead. Same with Wisconsin. Montana, I like Tester a lot. It's funny that I know about a Montana politician, but John Tester had a video go viral, and
Right.
I really enjoyed it, so I sort of like Tester.
So-
Arizona, flipping back and forth all night. We got 57% in. Anything can happen. It's interesting that they called Tennessee a key race because was not that
got
close.
called really
really
early.
early.
I mean, we're looking at upsets. Indiana was a major upset in terms of the Senate. And I mean, North Dakota, that was expected. Heitkamp was expected to lose there. Polls still coming in for Arizona, which could go either way here.
Yeah.
It is just an interesting night, and I think that moving forward as a nation, I think this will cause people to have to work together more now than there will be a split government. I think that the 2020 election effectively starts tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
We will wake up tomorrow.
Noah and I were discussing this earlier. Let's continue this conversation on camera. Who will the Democrats put up against Donald Trump? Because it needs to be, I think we can all agree, it needs to be someone very charismatic, right? Very likable.
Absolutely.
Who do the Democrats have that's like that?
I mean, if you want to talk about, Biden has said he'll make a decision by early next year, and I think
And
that
it's, here's the thing though. A lot of people consider vice presidency, or at least back in the day especially, vice presidency was like a graveyard for politics. Like once you were vice president, you didn't do anything else. You couldn't.
interesting. Right.
I feel like in the Senate though, I don't think the Democrats have too many charismatic leaders.
I think they have charismatic leaders, but I think they have.
Would have been so interesting if O'Rourke won.
I think that they have people who, are really far left or, play to the liberal base, way more than a presidential candidate probably should. And I think that if they tried to run, and I'm sure they will try to run, they're going to, if they manage to get past the primaries, they're going to lose to Donald Trump.
Yeah, and I've seen people urging Kamala Harris to run. I don't think she has any chance at winning, to be honest.
No.
And who else? Elizabeth Warren. I don't think she has a chance, especially after this whole Native American controversy.
Right.
Too, people are not happy about that. People are really not happy about that on both sides of the aisle. I feel like she doesn't have the character to make it against
it is all a question
Donald
of
Trump.
character. I mean, would Bernie be the solution that Democrats are waiting for?
Yeah.
that is a
It's so funny for me to believe that hard for me to believe that we don't have a centrist Democrat really.
I
Biden really. I mean,
Mm,
Biden's the closest thing.
No, but he's been good in recent years. But you have to remember that before that, he said so many things, put his foot in his mouth so many times and then had to like walk back things that
I feel like
Republicans
that doesn't even matter anymore, though.
Republicans would use it so much in the election, and he said that he wants to beat up Donald Trump behind the schoolyard or whatever.
It's
And
not that bad.
and this,
Our
ladies and
standards for
gentlemen-
politicians are different nowadays, and it's stupid.
I mean,
but
you want
that's
to talk
what
about
it
the
is.
insanity of politics. Harvard scientists said that there may have been an alien spaceship, and we shrugged it off because our world has gotten crazy enough. They're like, yeah, an alien spaceship could have just flown through the galaxy, and we're like,
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Actually, I
Okay.
saw that news story.
anyway, back to politics. I think that the solution, I mean, we saw it, late Senator John McCain said, his biggest regret was not picking former Senator Lieberman to be his running mate, which, of course, he was a Democratic senator, and he was a Republican at the time, right? And I think that may be a solution for the Democrats, and it may be. I think you may be able to play on the idea that, look, like, we're about unity, we're about coming together, and that's why, they could put together a ticket of a Democrat and a Republican, and they could pull, you want to talk about Corker, you want to talk about Flake, you want to talk about the Republicans who don't align themselves with Donald Trump, who would then
Cory
have
Booker, that'd be interesting. I don't think he'd win.
Cory Booker. I don't think so either. But then they would, be able to find someone in the Democratic, president, vice president ticket to be able to justify themselves to vote for that person, right?
Yeah, would be interesting. All right.
I think we're gonna sign off.
Oh no, wait. There was one more thing I wanted to think about. So in 2016, we saw, I think, a larger turnout of third-party candidates than we did this year. Are people resorting back to bipartisan politics, two-party system?
I think it's just because
I think that's a result of a midterm year more than anything.
I think that's a presidential versus midterm
Yeah,
thing.
I can
right?
see that. It's always a shame to me. I wish,
But that's not even true. I mean, Bernie and King are independents.
they're independents, but they're not.
but
They're not.
They're independents, and I mean, like,
Yeah, I mean, you have to click somewhere else on the ballot to vote for them. That's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, did you hear about all the voting booths today that you could try that across the country? You tried to click like straight ticket, and which first off I don't agree with.
Yeah,
You-
it
you
shouldn't exist.
you
The
shouldn't-
button shouldn't
that,
exist.
That button should not exist. Like, you should physically have to go through. Honestly, I don't think there should be a designation of what party someone belongs to. So you actually have
Yeah.
to do your research beforehand before going into a booth and just being able to click the button for your party, because that makes a lot more sense. But apparently a whole bunch of buttons today. You would press the button for. I saw specifically a couple gifs of someone trying to click a button for all Democrats, and it literally wouldn't let them.
Wow.
Some, in fact, in
It's
Texas.
not a big deal.
It is not a big deal, and the Department of, I believe, Homeland Security said, it's not, Russians trying to hack into our election. It is normal that happens.
Sometimes, yeah. What do you think about what was my question? It's getting late, everyone. I'm glad that I'm not going to be staying up till 2 a.m. covering this because it's pretty clear
Yeah.
what's going on. Do you think? How does this shape 2020? That's the big question of the night.
So I think Trump is going to play, 2020 is going to play the, look at what they've done. They've stopped our progress. And he's going to try to, convince people that they have to take back the House, they have to take back the Senate, whatever else. But it's also going to be a really hard year for Republicans. There's going to be, a whole lot of Senate seats up for them. This
Yeah,
year
that's true. This year there were a lot of Democratic vulnerabilities in the Senate, but in 2 years that's not going to be the case.
no, it's in fact going to be the opposite, right?
Mhm.
And then again, a lot of those Senate seats they could easily hold if Donald Trump manages to get that turnout for the GOP. I think he's also going to play. He continues to play race, he continues to play fear mongering, he continues to play all these cards, and the other day, I believe Fox News even pulled his ad about the illegal immigrant off of their show.
Really? Fox News did.
I believe so. If you want to fact check me on that.
Yeah.
But it is. I think that is the issue. Is that politics on both sides is getting more and more extreme. We're moving further and further away from the center here, and eventually there is going to have to be someone who is in the center. And currently in our two-party system, one of them has to shift to the center. Otherwise, that can't happen.
If one of them shifts to the center, the whole thing's just going to shift one way.
Right.
Yeah.
Or this way.
Mhm.
But the other answer is you start to see third-party people come in. And I think a lot of people this year, right? A lot of senators, especially Democrats who were running in states that Trump won, they pointed out all the times that they voted with Trump. They tried to make sure that they played on that idea so that they weren't at a disadvantage for that vote.
Yeah. All right. Everyone, it is midnight now. I think we're going to sign off. Thank you for tuning into
Yep.
HHS TV's coverage of the 2018 midterm elections. We've seen basically individual races, not so much, but overall we've seen what the polls predicted. The House has flipped to the Democrat, or will flip to the Democrats, pretty much definitely at this point. The Senate has and will flip to stay Republican. Governors, major wins for the Democrats tonight. Not as big of a blue wave as people
Nope.
were hoping for. Some people were hoping for. But certainly some fundamental shifts in what are the makeup of our country's politics are going to be. So signing off, I'd like to give a few thank yous first. Actually, I'd like to thank Max Harris for providing his house food for this night. Wouldn't have been possible without Max. I'd like to thank everyone at the Banner who helped me run exit polls today. That's Charisma Hassan and Enya. How do I pronounce Enya's last name? Zhang? Enya, thank you very much to both of you. I'd like to thank my parents for their support of our program and our school for the support of our program, Mr. Ferguson and the other administrators at Harriton for helping us purchase this gear that we are using to film this live stream on. Noah, I'd like to thank you.
I'd like to thank you as well.
I'd like to thank the 5 people tuned in live right now.
At midnight.
At midnight for supporting our program. Even if you're
Please
you're
don't
tuned
break
into
our...
CNN,
You're going to break our thing
I know,
before we
right?
go off the air,
even if you're
Sam.
tuned into another network, that's cool too. We appreciate your support.
We also have to thank Lindsay Sayre. We also have to thank Eli Siegel, who came in, are not here right now because they had to leave early.
All the members of HHS TV who couldn't make it but come
Yep.
diligently to our meetings and helped us prepare for this event. And, of course, to the voters for going out and voting the way they believed this election, because without you, our country doesn't move anywhere.
So that'll be it for tonight. Signing off. This is Noah Salmonson.
And this is Sam Catania.
We'll see you tomorrow.